All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. We are live. What an absolutely crazy day it has been. We opened the show pre-markets, SPCX, 197. We're closing the show at the market close, SPCX, 196. In the middle is where all the action was. Got all the way up to 225, tried to fight to get back up to 220. And now, as you can see, as we get towards the end of the day, we are seeing a bit of a collapse. But it's not just on SPCX. That's one of the ugliest ones given what happened today, obviously, in terms of the momentum to the downside. Microsoft down 1.5%. Broadcom down 3.8%. The S&P 500 down 0.5%. The S&P not being able to get above 754.50 felt like a little bit of a bad sign earlier in the day. And obviously, you know, you're seeing this thing kind of completely lose all of the gains we had on Monday. And quite frankly, taking away a lot of the gains we had back from Friday. So you're seeing this thing hopefully can stay above 750, and not, then it's going back down. The Qs, 1.6% down. MRVL was at 315 this morning. You had an insider CFO sell at 290 yesterday. Stocks at 285. Lilly's down. Micron down 5%. All of your hardcore momentum semiconductor and space names. Obviously, today is not a fun day for them. Even Amcor, which signed a massive contract in the morning with TSM, 10-year deal. Stock was up 15% in the morning. Now it's barely up 2%. So what happened? That is the question. What ended up happening to cause this type of volatility to the downside with all this pain? I don't have the answer to that, because quite frankly, anything that should have happened in the stock market should have been the opposite of what did happen if we look at the macro. Oil, it's down significantly on the day, down about 5%, and it's also down even more than where it was in the morning when it was at 79. So you got oil coming down, which is a good thing. You have Axios and Bloomberg saying they've officially, well, quote unquote officially, received a draft of the MOU between the US and Iran. And we can talk more about it, but all of it seems to at least be reasonable enough in terms of both sides coming to an agreement in terms of what would be happening. That $300 billion Iran investment fund, by the way, does seem like a real thing. It's in the draft as well. And so you've got a lot of good news in the context of Iran and the US getting ready to agree on something. You've got good news in the context of oil going down. It seems like the FOMC meeting tomorrow, SPCX right there, potentially going red on the day, which would be crazy. Still, it would be at a 2.5 trillion market cap if it closed at 196. It looks like that's creating some jitters in the market. And I would imagine it likely will continue to create some jitters, because we, quite frankly, have no idea what Kevin Warsh is going to say tomorrow or how he's going to talk tomorrow. And, you know, if he talks in a way that is not conducive to how the Fed is, or how the markets are thinking about what this Fed chair is going to be like, on top of the fact that you've obviously got this toppy action on SPCX and people in general feel there's a lot of exuberance that's out there, you know, maybe that's enough of a recipe to get a little bit of pain. Yes, we will have Jason on in a little bit. We'll have Technical Tuesday. We're going to run through some of these headlines as we get into the close. SPCX right there has just been a crazy chart to look at all day. Again, ran up to 225.64 in the morning, was never able to get back up there. It tried at 217, 218 a couple times, and then momentum just came to the downside. Let me give you guys some stats. 296 million shares have been traded today on SPCX. Yesterday was 250 million, so 50 million shares more than yesterday. Options, 1.5 million options have been traded today, 851,000 calls, 653,000 puts. The number one most traded option today on SPCX was the 618 220 call. 618 is in a couple days, so that's going to be expiring very soon. 58,871 of those calls were traded today on SPCX. CoreWeave, good day. That's up 9%. SOFI did break above 18, couldn't stay above it. That was also up 4%. Not too bad. So ironically, you know, some of your neoclouds were up on the day, even though a lot of the semis were down. Some of your fintechs, like a SOFI, was up, even though Robinhood took a bigger hit, 95.82 after getting to 100 in the pre-market on the news that they were doing 10% layoffs. But I'm not going to lie, today just felt like the market wants to take a leg lower when you look at the price action. There's a couple of different things we'll talk about when Jason comes on. We'll also get into some of the technicals, but the VIX bottoming is not necessarily a good sign for making the next leg higher. I mean, usually you want the VIX, usually the time to buy stocks is when the VIX, you know, goes to the moon, right? Every time the VIX has gone up, yen carry trade, Iran crisis, tariffs, that's when stocks were the right time to buy. When the VIX bottoms, that's not really the time to get excited to buy or for net new capital to come into the markets. And that's usually when you see a lot more exuberance and euphoria, because obviously the volatility is not as intense unless you're SPCX. And so you've got that kind of taking place right here, which is one thing that I think people have been thinking about today. On top of the fact that you had the best piece of news we've had in a couple months, which was oil. And that was not enough to get markets to catch a bid. And you would say, okay, well, people are worried about Kevin Warsh, but it's like, wait a second, this oil coming down is a layup for Kevin Warsh. It is a really good thing for him because he gets to say, look, we think inflation is essentially transitory because we think oil is going to come down now that the war is over. And that line of logic, which should lead to equities doing well, it is not taking place on the equity side. You're not really seeing that translate into the markets, which means people, algos, market participants are not actually buying into that narrative right now, which means there's something else that's holding the market back. And we might not know exactly what that answer is, but the price action today just felt a bit more bearish when you couldn't see some of these levels get taken out. And when you saw some of these intense high beta stocks lose all of their momentum today. MRVL, another example, like SpaceX, down 8%, $25 from the top, as that one has also been getting hit. So we got to see. We got to see how this ends up playing out. Broadcom, this one also not really the best day, 378 down another 4%. NVIDIA, I mean, obviously NVIDIA is going to fall 208.59 if we get a bit of a red day. So you're just seeing a lot of different names not able to catch on some momentum. Netflix was bad in the morning, continues to be bad as we get towards the end of the day. Rivian lays off hundreds of workers. So we had the Robinhood layoff news today. Now you have the Rivian news that just came out from the Wall Street Journal. Rivian is laying off hundreds of employees as the automaker seeks to make its business profitable while launching a key new model. Okay, so you got Rivian layoffs. On top of that, you also had this piece of news, which once again goes back to the sort of intrinsically bearish argument for the foundation model companies, although it is bullish for the neoclouds. Microsoft today announced that they're shifting Copilot Cowork to usage-based pricing and may add a Microsoft-hosted DeepSeek model as a cheaper enterprise AI option per Bloomberg. A lower-cost model is expected in the coming weeks, although DeepSeek is a Chinese foundation model company. If you were able to run those locally on American servers, if it's 80% as good as ChatGPT or Anthropic, or even 60% as good, but it's significantly cheaper, that takes away the token generation from Anthropic and OpenAI. Now, good for the neoclouds, good for all the other distributed compute players, but not necessarily the best for the foundation model companies. And this is one of about 4 different versions of this similar announcement that we've seen over the past week, which has probably prompted Sam Altman to start cutting token costs, as he was talking about last week. And I think that trend is likely going to continue because these tokens are just too expensive. You also had a headline that just broke. Microsoft walked away from a $3 billion deal to lease Oracle cloud capacity over security concerns. That's not good for Oracle, getting a red candle there right now. Microsoft is still evaluating and exploring options for leasing cloud infrastructure. The people familiar with the talks have said they walked away from leasing $3 billion of Oracle cloud capacity due to security concerns. Interesting. If they're not ready to lease it from Oracle, I wonder who they would be leasing it from. SanDisk also taking an ugly beating, down 5% on the day. Again, this was up 2,100 yesterday, taking a hit. Micron, this hit 1,100 pre-market. This one's also going down. Just a lot of high beta momentum names. It was not their day. And because they tried to make a move and got rejected as badly as they did, again, SpaceX right here, 198, it makes you wonder, is this just volatility for Kevin Warsh, or is there something deeper kind of beneath the surface that the market's trying to figure out? Intel, ugly day, 130 to 117. Again, the reason today was so ugly is because you got the best piece of news you can imagine, which is oil came down, and it just ended up being a sell the news. And again, this Iran-US MOU, it seems like there's a lot of bullish stuff in here. Politically is a different question, what it does for their nuclear enrichment and the $300 billion fund, but it seems like both sides have come to an agreement that there are a bunch of principles that they're ready to cooperate on, which should once again be another reason for why oil is coming down, which is why it came down today, but it did not translate into equities going higher. And I think that's the sort of weird part about what's happening today. AMD, is that one going red? AMD was at 550. Wow, 509. This was 530 about 30 minutes ago. There you go, 509.60. As that one continues to take a hit. Triple V, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for being part of the show, and thank you for the super chat. Again, I told you guys last week, Triple V took a pretty large short position on a lot of the space names, and a lot of them are just continuing to get hit pretty hard. The entire thesis on space pumping with SpaceX did not happen for Lunar, didn't happen for Rocket Lab, didn't happen for ASTS, didn't happen for Redwire. I mean, many of these names, just like disgusting moves here. And now SpaceX is the only one that's being held up, which, you know, most people don't even believe in. A lot of articles I saw today talking about the IPO lockup period on SpaceX and when the floats actually unlock. And I mean, it's pretty incredible. Even Chris Camillo was like, the financial engineering that has been done to make this a successful IPO, only 4% of the float is available right now. That is what I think most people missed, including myself, on the IPO. Like, if you only knew 4% was going to be available and they were going to manufacture a pump, it's like, yeah, who wouldn't buy it at 150? But now that the details are coming out via the 8K on when exactly the unlocks are being released, means there's going to be an avalanche of shares, 96% of the float, that's going to be dumped onto the public eventually, along with the Cursor deal, which they acquired them for $60 billion. So that's going to be another 300-400 million shares of dilution that was announced today. But you start realizing that this doesn't make sense, and it also does make sense. It doesn't make sense because this valuation is just stupid, and like everyone can understand that it's stupid when you look at it contextually across the rest of the market. Like this is 3 times as bad as Cisco in the .com bubble. We don't want a market in which that level of euphoria and excitement is there. But then it does make sense because of course the stock is going to go up, and by proxy the valuation is going to go up because there's barely any shares to trade. So then the question just becomes, you know, does that actually hold that level, or do people say, oh, this is stupid, there's a lot of people that are going to be dumping soon, I should get out, which is kind of feels like what happened today from the top 225 to 200, but maybe it just comes right back up to 200. Would you short it then? No. I mean, there's a lot of people on X today, though, that went short. A lot of these leveraged short ETFs, there are a ton of people that are shorting it, and maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. Obviously, fundamentally, I think it should be going down from here. Will it actually go down? Time will tell. NVIDIA getting a nasty candle right into the close again. Same thing happened on Friday last week, 207.80. But I absolutely believe the shorts are trying to come in and see what they end up trying to do, as you know, most people just don't believe in a lot of this excitement. On that Oracle news, the plan was to move some of Microsoft's workloads to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, but Oracle's public cloud did not have the federal risk and authorization program. And that is why Microsoft's thinking of walking away. Oracle right there, 188.28, as that goes red. All right, folks, we got 40 seconds. Put in the chat if you made any trades today. Let me know, up or down, sold anything, bought anything. If you took a chance on SpaceX today, lots of calls, lots of puts available. 1.5 million contracts were traded. NBIS hit 275, then got rejected at 265. CoreWeave, overall good day, up 9.6%. I mean, it's kind of weird that some of the high beta names took off. Even a Google did really well today, but then a lot of the other high beta names like Cerebras, MRVL, Intel, they just got smoked. And so a bit diversified right now in terms of what names are going up, what names are going down. OSS was 20 in the morning, now it's at 18. But overall, definitely felt like a little bit of a risk-off day, and tomorrow, Kevin Warsh will let us know if it's officially going to be risk-off or not. Here we go. Tuesday, June 16th, 4 p.m. The stock market is now closed. We are done for this Tuesday, as we have come down. I see a bunch of people saying Oracle, Netflix, Micron, Qualcomm, a lot of those names. Nokia actually invested in a new facility today in Pennsylvania. Pretty bullish piece of news. $30 million investment. Going to be expanding their workforce. Photonic chip capacity increase. 4 million of state aid, 10 million from the CHIP Act. So you had some bullish updates right there, but that stock ended up taking a dip right below that 14 level. S&P, where did we close on the day? 750.35. So around 753 at about 1 p.m. is when this thing started turning. Got all the way up to 756. So around that lunch hour, it kind of felt like there was a chance this would make a move higher. And then it just flipped, and it came downtown. Micron down about 6% of the day. AMD down 7% on the day. Redwire down 9%. You had NVIDIA down 2.3%, falling a little bit more after hours. SpaceX closed at 201. 300 million shares traded today. But obviously down from 225. At one point, it was worth more than Microsoft this morning. It is now worth just under Amazon's market cap. Amazon's at 2.65. SpaceX is at 2.6. CoreWeave, that was up 9% of the day. Microsoft, that was down about 1.4%. MRVL, that was down 10%, 278 on the close. The Qs, down about 2%. 2% on the Qs is kind of ugly. We were below 700 last week. We're at 729 right here. So, I mean, I think a lot of eyes are just waiting on, are we out of the woods when it comes to this Fed chair meeting? And quite frankly, even if we are quote unquote out of the woods because Kevin Warsh is more dovish than hawkish, you know, can valuations actually support the level of momentum to the upside continuing from here if we see this euphoria not necessarily take its place on some of the high beta names? By the way, Burry bought JD. So that is his new pick. He bought Adobe and PayPal last week. JD. So he's picking some of the Chinese names. A lot of people bet on JD last year. A lot of targets were at $40. This didn't necessarily play out. Obviously, it's cheap. Same thing with Baba and Baidu. But he did buy some more Chinese tech. S&P 500, 750.35. He's on today. Amid to doing the stock draft. Yeah, so the stock draft actually ended yesterday. It didn't even end today because yesterday was technically 365 days. So the order was me, Steve, Matt, Chris, and then Tanner. So Sunday or Saturday this week, we'll be having stock draft 2.0 for the next year. Jason will join us as well. And it should be a fun time. So we'll be able to pick our 12 companies going into next year. Robo Strategy, that bought ETF, down about 15% of the day. ServiceNow down about 2%. I mean, even the software names really weren't able to get any level of rotation. It was just a pretty nasty day across the board. In terms of the top options traded today, so this list doesn't include SpaceX yet, but SpaceX would basically be number 3 because it had about 1.5 million options that were traded. But you had Tesla and NVIDIA. They had Apple, Intel, Netflix, Micron, SoFi got into the top 10. Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, CoreWeave, Nokia, Google, Marvell, Palantir, MicroStrategy, Hood, AMD, SMCI, and Broadcom. A lot of your typical candidates, but many of these high beta names that were not easily holding up any of their green here today. Okay, so that's most of the headlines that we had. Do we have anything else? We talked about the Iran MOU with the U.S. That was, I thought, pretty bullish in terms of what it included and what it said. Market didn't care. We talked about oil going down. Market didn't care about that either. Fed chair meeting, that's going to be tomorrow. Oh, this was also interesting. We got to see this. Let's pull this up real quick, and then we'll get it Tuesday. Snapchat, which has not been able to operate as a public company for the past 10 years, but has somehow still been public, decided to basically show their new innovation to the world. And this is what Evan Spiegel is trying to do to save the stock right here.
$195. The stock's down more than 5%. How do you address investor concerns about the potential market for these?
Well, Julia, thanks so much for joining us here at AWE. It's been such an exciting day for the company. It's something we've been working towards for more than 12 years now to really bring computing into the world and make it more human. And I think it's something that people are really looking for in this moment where they feel like screens are distracting them. People are spending on average more than 7 hours a day staring down at screens instead of connecting with their friends and staying present in the world. And we think specs offer a totally new opportunity to bring computing into the world around you and help computing feel more human and more personal.
During your keynote, you took a jab at Mark Zuckerberg and you said the folks up north aren't going to be able to copy these. But Meta right now is selling much lower price devices. You have the $250 glasses with AI via audio. They have an $800 version of these. Yours is so much more expensive. Aren't you concerned about competing?
Well, I think you raise a really interesting point. Today, if you look at the market, it's bifurcated. You either have smart glasses, which are lightweight and wearable, but aren't really capable of much. They're almost more like AirPods or something, a phone accessory. And then you have headsets, which are very capable and immersive, but they're also, clunky and hard to wear. They shut you out of the world with virtual reality. And specs occupy a totally new category of computing. They're both highly wearable, but also incredibly capable for immersive computing. So whether you want to bring a private display on the road with you, whether you want to play games together with your friends, or just use real-world utilities like navigation or real-time translation, specs are incredibly capable of bringing computing into the world around you.
I think this is the dumbest shit ever. I really think all of these tech CEOs are trying to gaslight us into believing that glasses are the next computing frontier, Apple and Meta included. By the way, the nerve of Evan Spiegel to be like, the folks up north can't copy this. Brother, stock's down 90% all time. You've never had a GAAP profitable quarter in your life. Meta, yeah, it's had a bad year, but goodness gracious, like they've executed pretty strongly over the past decade. I think if they were worried about copying you, they wouldn't have an issue with copying you. But nonetheless, I hope when people see the glasses on his face, they can realize how ridiculous this is, how billions of people are not going to be walking around with these behemoths on our face that are going to be doing computer. Like, I just don't believe in it. I don't see the vision. I think there's use cases for it in healthcare and gaming. I do not think that it's going to be a real thing. But nonetheless, that's what Snapchat's trying to do. So whenever people have asked, are you interested in Snap? Not if that's their plan of action. They need to focus on making the ads profitable, not a new piece of hardware that, I mean, who's even going to trust Snapchat glasses, as the basis for the ecosystem in which they engage with the AR world? I just don't see it. That stock down 10% on the day as that took a hit. A couple other stats real quick. Apple, Bloomberg reported, is thinking of coming out with AirPods at the end of 2027 that include cameras in them. So camera-based AirPods. Again, I think that's kind of dumb, but nonetheless, maybe they're going to use the camera so that the AI can see what's in the world and then talk to you. I don't know what they're trying to do with that, but that's what they're planning to do. Also, the second generation foldable iPhone is expected to come out in late 2027. That was another different stat that came out today. And then final stat right here on the SpaceX option flow. So you had over $4 billion of money that was traded in the leverage ETFs, which obviously led to the SpaceX momentum up or long that has happened today. 2x SpaceX ETF had 3 billion traded versus 1 billion yesterday. Overall did 4 billion. And it did the most volume ever by an ETF on day two. Only IBIT, the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, when it came out, did more at 500 million. So yeah, lots and lots of excitement, lots of euphoria around SpaceX. Question is going to be, can this continue to make sense? Why would AirPods with a camera make sense? I don't know, bro. When I saw that headline, I was like, what? Why would you put I just think all these companies are trying to come up with new versions of hardware, which is the bull case for Qualcomm, by the way, outside of their data center CPU chip. The idea is that, you have wearables and Qualcomm is like the core chip for those wearables. But if you don't think wearables are going to scale, which at least I don't believe it, maybe the market does, then I don't think that's the bull case for some of these semiconductor names that are focusing on it. But obviously the data center stuff is still very bullish. All right, let's get into the technicals. We got a lot of different TA to go through, lots of different stuff that has happened in the market. I think a lot of people are asking, are we bullish? Are we bearish? We got some bullish pieces of news, but we can't go higher. Nonetheless, the S&P is up a lot from 720, 749 after hours, so we are losing 750. Let's bring on the person who I think understands TA the best on this planet. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is time to roll the intro.
Ooh, my focus. I'm okay. What's up?
What's up?
What's up, party people? How we feeling? Happy turnaround Tuesday.
People are just so happy to see you. You just brighten everybody's day. And then you have this guy that says, all right, I'm out.
Late.
The majority of people appreciate, some TA.
I guess it is what it is. That's the show, right? That is the show. Although we have been mixing technicals and fundamentals quite a bit lately.
100%
for the crew. But I honestly don't think that you can be good at technicals in very short term, like from a very small time frame perspective, without knowing any fundamentals. But I do not think that you can be good, and definitely 0% shot of being like world class with any longer term time frame technicals without really understanding fundamentals. I'll just say that. But the shorter time that you're in the market, the shorter amount of time that you're trading, the less fundamentals really matter. So
yeah, I agree. Obviously, I've told everybody I'm trying to learn how to trade more, and the conversations I've had with Jason privately are just it's basically everything he says on the stream. But like there's a lifetime of knowledge there that he understands about trading. So
when he actually met me in real life, I think he was hoping that I would be the same person, but we both had a little commentary. I was like, oh, dude, you're actually the same person. Like, you're legit.
Yeah, because you never know when you meet someone in person, but there you go.
Yep.
Okay, so let's bring up the charts. Let's start with SPY. We will take audience requests in about an hour. Let's try to get the main tickers out of the way. Obviously, I think a lot of people are curious just based on the price action today. I was talking to Jason earlier in the day, and 753 looked like the pivot point. It ended up being the pivot point. We ended up losing that pretty badly, and that kind of took everything down with it after a pretty green morning, to be honest.
Yeah.
So just curious. I mean, how are you thinking of the technicals right now?
You know, I do these NFP things a lot, and these are the lines. Actually, the lines that I have up on the screen right now. This is just one of our, is an automated indicator thing, but this is just one more reason where, like, to me, fundamentals, mixing them with technicals, it's very possible, but you have to kind of know how. So non-farm payrolls, first Friday typically of the month, sets a fundamental price point that becomes the technical level in the future. How to read that, I think, is a different deal. And if you know how, but that's kind of the stuff that we do. So NFP low is going to be super important. That is literally right here. So this whole candle right there, which is technically the first, it's just a giant bloodbath. That's what it is. But technically the range is from when the market gets the data to the end of the New York session. So there's a little bit of a pre-market nuance there. So the high of that is 754.46, and that is what we would consider resistance right now. And this low end here, just around 735, slightly below it, that's going to be your support. And what we're looking at from here moving forward, what we're looking for, sorry, and I didn't start, I'll start the timer. What we're looking for is 2 to 3 kind of like daily candles, both opening and closing outside of this range, to determine whether or not A, do we even have a trend, and B, what direction this trend is going to go into. So just so everybody knows, this second day, which was a big green day after the big red flush, it's firmly within the range, so it doesn't give us any read. This day here, we open actually above the 735, but we close and we wick down real deep, but the close is still actually above that as well. This day here, we open above. This is the first day we actually close below, but that is one day. It's not a full day outside the range. We're looking for, like I was saying before, at least 2 to 3 opens and closes outside the range. We don't really get that. Actually, this day we opened outside, closed inside. This day fully inside. So what this setup, 1, 2, 3, 4 series of candles here tells me is that we are definitively not going down. And at this point, literally right there, we actually know we should just go simply to the top of the range, and that's it. Now, if I'm going to assume that we're going up, right? How I was counting these candles to see if we're going to go downside, what I know for sure is that we're not going down as of this moment in time right there. But conversely, what I need to see is I need to see 2 to 3 days trading above 755. I don't have anything close to that right now. Like, we're simply testing the top of the range. So assume, again, this is resistance. And again, we have like a close on, but open below here. Today we have a open above, but close below here. So this is just not good enough to say that we're going up right now. So what I will say is that the range is exactly the same between 755 and call it 735, which might seem like a lot, but honestly, it's a single day's trading range that we're actually tracking here, which is from Friday. And so what this means for us is that tomorrow with FOMC coming, the low end of this range, honestly, can still be in the 735 area. But no matter what happens tomorrow, am I going to get an open below and close below? It's impossible for that to happen unless for some reason we gap down and open below. It's just not happening, right? So this right here, that's your support area. If we can hold above this for the foreseeable future, then at the best case scenario, we get this digestion time that basically ends up going sideways for a while, which actually to me is very healthy. But again, we're looking for those multiple opens and closes outside of this very simple range to determine the direction moving forward. And so it becomes pretty straightforward right now. Bottom line, we're range bound. It's a wide range, so be more patient when you can. And I think you could actually, I think you can buy the blood on the street if we see it. That's between, it might be fast, especially tomorrow if it's FOMC and it's Warsh's first meeting. I think today, look, nothing I've been saying changes in general. I think it's a raging bull market. I think that certain areas of the market are leading others, but across the board, there's a rising tide lifting all the boats. And it's just a matter of, do I want to add at the highs or do I want to wait for a dip kind of thing? And I think that's where the market really is. So for me, no, like we could just have a tradable pullback that's like hopefully short-lived. But for now, we should expect to at least go sideways. And from that perspective, today will likely be the higher end of that range. And so I think you can save a little ammo, maybe raise a little cash to potentially deploy slightly lower if you're trying to be super tactical.
Okay, I'm curious about one last thing on SPY, then we'll keep going from there. I'm curious about the 720 lows that we had last week got reversed.
Sure.
Primarily because Trump said we had the Iran deal. Do you think that was enough? Or those 720 lows, was that like the market saying, hey, we need to test these levels again to see how many buyers actually are there?
Dude, did you see my post? I made a story post. I was like, I did a recap post of the week. It was hilarious. But I think that kind of summed it up. But I posted something. I took a page out of your book, but Wall Street, the greatest show on earth. Ooh. And like, I was like, let me just write a screenplay real quick. And this is what happened, right? So NFP, this is SPY, right? 8 hours, one-way bleeding, closed down 2 point on the dead lows. Nobody came to help. And then like, as the week went on, you start to like, be like, dude, this is exhausting, right? This is actually what happened. But no, we didn't end up breaking down. Essentially, we had 5 days of carnage, like up and last week, and SPY ended up closing like flat.
Yeah.
Flat. But like none of it happened, except you probably lost a little piece of your soul because it was very traumatizing throughout the week last week. But at the end of the day, flat, right? And I think the recap of the week, there are certain things like as you go forward, the biggest thing is, look, here's where we are, right? We had the biggest 1-2 punch that we've seen in a long time between CPI and PPI. Warsh is coming in this tomorrow as his first Fed chair meeting. I don't think anybody thinks that anything's going to happen, but it's very much about commentary. It's really just to say, like, does this new guy, because there's nothing that he can really say that's going to make the market rip higher. I don't think. Everything that's potentially positive is more or less like assumed. But it's just the market that hates uncertainty. And we're slightly at the highs. We're probably built on this moment being a lot of profit taking, some hopium, some fears, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And at the end of the day, my read is that, well, that means sideways for a bit, which quite frankly, yeah, healthy, right? And so after a move like this, I'm very happy with that. But anyways, a week of war, not 1 inch taken.
No, I think
that was my summary meme.
I think that's a fair recap because that's basically what's happened. And right now you're left thinking, like, did that progress mean anything? Or
yeah.
Oh, that AI picture looks amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
If you showed up to the Monday streams, then you would get these. But I think in a nutshell, right? Did we get a deal? And then there's a Fed wall. Between these two things, I think this is what traps the market, right? The takeaway is important though, right? After the headlines, we have a risk on bounce on the Iran deal relief, but where? Some things are turning around. Meta specifically having a nice bounce off the absolute lows, but not really turning around yet. But it is still in AI infrastructure, right? And the closer we get to FOMC tomorrow, and it's a short week, dude, you know, this has to make sense. I think the biggest thing, and so like, what do you watch for, right? So we have the September dot plot coming. I don't know that you watch. This is for active traders. And we want to see like if the biggest ones that started to bounce on the Iran deal relief, which is really still remains to be infrastructure names, does Micron, Western Digital, SanDisk, do those close out the week strong? And how does that fare after Wednesday? I think, you know, after Wednesday is more important, maybe even more kicking the can out another week as a whole. Look, everybody's kind of like tensed up for the Fed tomorrow, just because you don't know what you don't know. And I think it's as simple as that, right? We're at the highs, near the highs at an index level. There are a lot of high flyers that, you know, if we're going to get a dip, why not raise some cash so that you can buy it? Because quite frankly, at the end of the day, to me, it's still a raging bull market. Like you just don't see. So this is what's just interesting is like this is Friday, right? And this big candle. If I go to something like an IWM, like okay, Friday's IWM, I just was big red, and then the Friday after that IWM over here, this thing is bucking like all trends and seasonalities by a mile.
And,
so
it should do the worst theoretically.
Yeah, we were just talking about this. And so what Amit and I were talking about, like, look, January effect. If you don't know the January effect, it's a real thing. But really, the January effect should have, and I got a slide. I always got a slide, dude. The January effect is for IWM specifically, but it's like you buy this dip almost every year, November, December. But by March, usually you start fading out, right? And we just are not seeing that at all right now on IWM and at all-time highs, like definitely all-time highs with in the face of during that period of time, what was the market doing? The market was actually pricing in rate hikes. Like the potential of rate hikes last week with CPI and PPI. Like, how does IWM make new all-time highs in what's historically like a rough seasonal chop for them while we're looking at a potential rate hike scenario? Like that doesn't happen. And so like this is wild. DIA industrials new closing high today. So all of these things basically to me tell me, well, every day is not going to be bright green, and your stock specifically is not going to go up every day. Just it's not going to happen. When you take a wider view of the market in totality, this is not what you see when we're really topping out. What I'm seeing is like I'm seeing equal weight SPY still like very close to the all-time highs. You know, the only one sector that's not is Qs, which this alone is why SPY is not. If the Qs were not part of SPY, after looking at the components that I just showed you right now, there's no possibility that we wouldn't be at all-time highs today. So, I mean, yeah, I'm fine, but just know where we are in you know, the price action is literally just a reflection of short-term emotions by people. And, you know, if you think of what's the short-term emotional stance? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There's a little uncertainty coming. We don't really know, but once we're past that, you know, as long as he doesn't say anything that the market doesn't like, and even if he does, like I was saying before, there's no shot that we're going to get a short trigger today, which is factually only below 735, like multiple closes below. I don't have that. I don't have the two upsides, so we're range bound right now. Worst case scenario, which I think is possibly a probable scenario right now, is that we do come back down and retest these lows. But from there, that'll take us to next week. And again, it's like all right, reassess. Let's see where we go.
Okay. We can put 2:30 on the clock for the next ones. We don't have to do 5 for the large caps. But let's real quick. Anthony Noto bought 14,000 shares just now, 1771. No, actually, hold on. 250 grand. Let me do the math. 250. He bought exactly at 1805. SOFI is 1760 after hours, but got another insider buy by Noto. And then you guys are talking about something with France and the penalty.
Someone just said, is this a head and shoulders pattern? Look, this is funny. Like, yeah, it could be. But this is just a note to say, if I'm not a pattern trader, but again, I've said this 100 times over, it's important to know the patterns. Where is the neckline on this head and shoulders? It's literally the same spots that I just told you, right? So this is still support, right? Around 735, underneath 740, under high 730s, let's call it that. But what's the most bullish setup? I mean, we don't go as far as here now. We're not going to go and say, oh, we're going to do a head and shoulders. You're not even close to being able to say that, not in reality. And the people that do get short here now, what this will set up is a failed bearish pattern that does what? Resolves into an absolutely epically long bullish setup. So know what it could be, know what other people see, but know what's reality and when to act on certain things.
Yeah, the France game is 0-0 for those that are asking. Okay, I want to start with SpaceX, but let me know if you think it's stupid to even try to do.
That's fine.
Okay, so what do you think is happening on this chart? These 3 candles up.
Are you ready?
I'm curious. What are you gonna say here?
Let me see.
500?
No, it's pretty straightforward. If I can get how come my thing is not?
Oh, by the way, real quick, this is the other thing I forgot to say in the market when the market was closing. New Jersey's potentially thinking of banning autonomous vehicles. So
I saw a cyber cab driving around my neighborhood last night. Actually, it's funny.
Proposed legislation moving through New Jersey right now would impose restrictions so severe that true driverless deployment would remain illegal. I am legit going to contact my senators and try to, like, I usually never, this morning I went on a rant, but I don't care about politics. This one I care about, bro. You are not taking FSD away from me.
But are they talking about that, or are they talking about something else?
I don't know, but the headline, I mean, Tesla literally sent me an email about it. So it's obviously got to be serious for Tesla to reach out and be like, hey. Like,
well, serious enough for Tesla to be like, oh, this is a thing.
Yeah, dude, I'm not going back to driving. No way. But yeah. Anyway, SpaceX, are we going up or down? What do you think?
So all I can give you right now is levels, right? And so the way these momentum levels, and I do this a lot, right? So I'm literally this is just a random 30-minute chart. It doesn't matter what chart you use. I could use a 10-minute chart. I could use a 15-minute chart. I could use a 5-minute chart. Doesn't matter, right? What matters is that, like, the first day of trade here, to me, this is pretty straightforward. Everything's going to be measured from that first day of trade in general. And so I'm just going to take the high and low of day one. You could do this even more granular, but I think because this is the first spot that we can measure from, that's what you take, right? And that's this range right there. And like you can see here, midday yesterday around the lunch hour, when you get this slightly over 176, we open inside, meaning this area is inside of the day before's range. So you're kind of neutral here. It's not until this moment when you're over 176.50 that becomes more bullish. And so from that area, you have to just assume that this day one is your consolidation range, which basically takes you to 193. This is our typical thing. Like we do this all the time. So I'm just taking this range and I'm essentially just replicating it with what we use as fibs multiple times over. So 229 is a triple 3xing day one's trading range at 202. If I take this down, so this got to 2.5 times day one's trading range. At that point, you peak out. This is about 216. This is the moment, the first moment where SpaceX is not able to continue a series of higher highs. And so that is your first, okay, we're gonna take a breath now. Where do you take a breath to? It's 203, right? Which is literally just this extension here. So if tomorrow SpaceX does not, so these arrows like this, we call pathing, right? So if tomorrow you can't get through 203, then expect 190 to be support. If 190 does not hold, all right, well, then you're back down to 176, so on and so forth. You could screenshot this, whatever you want. I'll make these a little bit bigger so maybe you can see it better. But it works just like this. This is 100% momentum driven now. If at any point you don't go back down, you can, each one of these ranges becomes a trading range. So as a trader, whether you're trading equities, options, it doesn't really matter. Options are crazy on this thing because they don't know how to calculate implied volatility with only 3 days of trading. Sorry, I forgot to hit the play button. This is what it is. So it's pure momentum, pure technicals, and it has to hold these ranges from here. Otherwise, the retracement's down to 175. Assume that around the low 190s right now is going to be their first level of support. And it kind of works a little bit like this. If you're over 203.5, cool, we can go back up to that 216 range. But if I can't, if SpaceX tries again intraday, it could easily just fail back to this 203. So between 216 and 203 tomorrow, if it's over 203, this becomes your trading range. Below it, 203 to 190. That's SpaceX.
I'm assuming you wouldn't be excited to trade this right now, or
right now, if you bought this at day one IPO, you should have sold today. And it's meaning like your momentum is over from this perspective, right? So like I said, you made it their first lower high. You can ride momentum the entire way, but the second you lose it, you should take profit. Your trade is over from a 1, 2, 3 day range, which is fine, right? Now what you're looking for is you're looking for a higher low, which honestly can be as low as anything in here. If it came back to 176, went sideways, and then started to get back over 193, again, these levels are not going to change. At that point, you could take a trade like this, and let's just assume that did happen. That would take me to like 250 from that perspective if I got something like that. But that puts your entry closer to 170s, 75s, mid 170s.
Rocket Lab.
Not here. Lab of rockets. So I got to do this. I don't know why these things are on. Lab of rockets. Right now, not horrible. So the prior breakout, so we didn't get this move. We got it here. Same kind of momentum thing. The last breakout is from this consolidation area right here. So if I were just to make this, I don't know, clean for a minute, no lines or no SMAs and indicators or any of that kind of stuff. Yesterday's low at 99.58 is like a near exact touch of that prior breakout level. So this doesn't bother me, right? I think this low is probably the low near term, especially since today did not make a new low. I actually, it closed on the lows. I'm zooming in a little bit. So 99.58 is like the level. As long as it's over that, that's fine, right? And then that sets you up to be able to take a bounce into that 120, mid to high 120 area. But again, if this can't get through that, oops, that's resistance basically. So that's resistance, mid 120s, this whole area here. Anybody that bought in here, essentially post SpaceX started selling on you in the last few days, right? And so these buyers became sellers over there. So yeah, you can attempt to get back over there, but just know that there are still likely sellers in this area that could push this stock down like this. And your buyers are so far right around $100, even slightly under, which is that prior breakout. If this comes down, the support on this stronger support is going to be in your low 80s to high 70s area, which isn't really bad. Like long term anyways, not that big of a deal. Longer term, what this sets up as is like, imagine this. So like you have a big cup, big handle that fires off. You go this, if you can get this, something like that, you're just going to do it again. And that's totally fine. This can actually come in as deep as something like that, which gives you that high 80 or high 70s, low 80s kind of entry, which is a better discount. Whether or not you get it, we don't know. But if you do get this, it's super important that you see, that you see this, which is the next high going back over 99 and holding above 99. If you get a dip buy in the low 80s, high 70s.
Okay. CoreWeave, she had a nice breakout today.
NASDAQ 100 inclusion coming on Monday for a handful of the stonks. It's a nice bounce. It's coming out of support, low 90s support right here. As long as this is holding like 103, generally speaking, this is what we would call like your golden. So measured from this low to this high, literally this line in the sand right here, which is about 103, that's 50% of here to here, literally 50%. So that's your average pullback. 92s, right about 92. This is your like discount pullback area, statistically speaking. So holding this is good. Bouncing out of here is good. These red boxes, that's resistance though. So you're stuck in between essentially like high 130s, low 140s, and as weird as this sounds, low 90s. And this becomes a bit of a trading range, almost like what do we say, meta, right? You can do this for a while until it finally gets out of its own way. But yeah, I think CoreWeave in general, I like CoreWeave as a whole. I like CoreWeave as an investment, but you have to understand that they're still building out this product. And I do think that they're special in terms of the way that they go about it and some of the offerings that they have. So unique in terms of a moat, but it is a high risk business because of financing and things like that. And just the sheer fact that, dude, there's so many things that gear is scarce. I think the training centers are pretty saturated in general, and it is still kind of like a power grab. So like if you can stand up equipment and light it up, whoever lights it up fastest kind of wins that. And I think that's kind of a given. So for right now, I think that's still the mode that we're in right now. I like it longer term. Shorter term, it's more of a trading vehicle. That's just my 2 cents.
Micron.
Moo the cow, dude.
This one felt like it traded with SpaceX today, to be honest.
Well, I think that was my I think, Micron, SanDisk, Western Digital, Seagate, they're all consensus, like straight up. I don't think there's any edge in consensus trades,
I
but
agree.
I do think that they become a little bit more risky as they go, because consensus like this, consensus as in, the craziest thing is that, let's say the market doesn't like what Warsh has to say tomorrow, right? And goes back to legit pricing in hikes, which probably not going to happen. But let's say that the hikes probably will not actually happen, but the market will get jitters and have a knee-jerk reaction as if they are. What this kind of told me in that moment is like, it's still not going to affect the data center build out like one iota to me. Like, it's just not going to affect it. It will affect some hyperscalers, specifically, like I was saying, CoreWeave, the ones that have to finance to buy gear. Higher rates are going to hurt them, right? And I don't know that hyperscalers specifically are where you want to be in general. The spend is coming out of them, but just because they're spending money doesn't mean that the stocks are going to go up. I don't think that that's true. I think you have to still stay focused on, when the market shifts into that kind of mentality. The weirdest thing is that the safety trades become still the picks and shovels of the data center build out, because everybody knows it doesn't matter what's happening. The hyperscalers, the ones that are funding the build out through cash flows, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, those good companies that are still going to be spending like there's no tomorrow are still going to be spending no matter what happens. It doesn't matter what happens. And knowing that fact turns something like a Micron, SanDisk, whoever, oddly into a safety trade, because it's one thing that you can depend on no matter what. And I think that's kind of what we saw. So like, yes, consensus, I think you can go into that theme a lot more broadly, but I don't see this stopping right now. And as long as it's within its trajectory, which it absolutely is, it's totally fine. So we have a little gap over the weekend from 985. I think it wanted to get to 1200 plus, right? After breaking through 750s. We're very close. So 1151 is what I have here. As long as this is over 900s, and 900s are basically right here, that's your support area. So this can come down and breach, but as long as it does something like that, you're perfectly fine within this trend, not an issue. So like a small breach of that trend, which would be mid to low 900s, is support. As long as it's over that, this thing has no problem.
Broadcom.
Well, this one slightly different. A little bit more of a problem here.
Micron is not that far away from Broadcom is worth.
You're talking market cap?
Yeah, Micron's $500 billion away. I mean, it could catch up on a really good day.
The craziest thing is that it would only take one day. For Broadcom to have a bad day and Micron to have a good day. I think that's all that matters, which goes to show you like how consensus Micron is, and the whole like memory that becomes the issue. So that when the consensus breaks, eventually that is going to be a knife that you don't want to catch. So the support is super important, because they're just going to be running in like crazy short order, but that's not happening right now. So anyways, from this like recent low here to this recent high here, so low of 290, high of 500 is what I measured. This area, 37, just under 370, mid to low 360s that we just came out of, that is your near-term support area. It's a support area. It's slightly over the 200-day. What I can tell you is that, again, this chart here is also in consolidation. So I absolutely expect this to go sideways. If you lose 360s, you're very likely going to see that $300 price target again, or low 300s, very low 300s. And it kind of turns into NVIDIA-esque 2.0 and just goes sideways for a very long time. With that said, I think this red and green thing, this is the larger channel that I think we drew last week.
So this is in nibble territory, right?
Yeah, it's very small nibble territory. Ideally on the
30, right? 330 is deep fry.
So definitely below 400, definitely, right? And if you can get below 350, better. The closer you can get to 300, best. So kind of in that order. So if you want to nibble here, have at it, right? But don't do it thinking that this is the low. I don't think it is. And don't do it thinking that this is going to immediately go higher tomorrow. I don't think it will. I think this is going to take a little bit. I think you could take your time is basically what I'm saying. And watch this for a little while, knowing that look, below 350 is going to be a better buy, as close to 300 as you can. It becomes fundamentally really cheap, but again, that doesn't really matter. Cheap, expensive from a like I'm going to make money in the market perspective. Like that stuff doesn't really matter that much.
NVDA,
dude, man. So resistance, tag that to something 230. And this was that breakout area right here. So that's about 212. Yesterday's high, you know, you have a bit of a new series of, this is a bit of a downtrend all of a sudden since that pre-earnings move, meaning like lower high, here's a low, lower high, lower low, lower high. I think that you could see the 170s again. As dumb as that.
Really?
180s.
But do you think market's going to go down with it if that happens, or that's NVIDIA specific?
No, because of the trend that I kind of pointed out, because of the trend that I pointed out definitively earlier on is that Qs is coming down. It's struggling the most. It's lagging. It's not coming down. It's lagging. But what's also happening is that the rest of the market is broadening at the same time, which is super bullish. I think that the semi trade in general, the AI data center build out trade in general widens as a whole. But I've been saying this for months, meaning like it goes to the edge. You go to more different types of power, things like that, different types of semis. And that profits kind of get spread around while holding a floor really on NVIDIA, meaning like, I don't know that you see 160s, but as long as we're under 212, here, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Fine. We're just going to measure simply stated. I might have to take it back. 200 was that 50%. I think 190s. Did I say 190s?
You said 170s.
Okay, 190s. Let's go 190s. Top of this box.
Oh wait, we touched 198 last week, so technically
190. He wants a real number, guys. Okay. So
dude, why does it look like a rainbow?
It is a rainbow. He wants to set it and get it limit order. The number is $189.56.
Dude,
place your bets.
I feel like S&P is at 7,000 if NVIDIA gets hit that bad. Maybe I'm thinking of them too intertwined, but
yeah, maybe. But look, dude, I'm in the state where like, okay, cool. S&P goes to 6,500. I would buy the crap out of it because we're going to like 1,500 in the next year or two. Like we will double from there. Like the S&P will double by this time, 2028. This time, 2028. I just don't see how we're not going to 2x at the index level. Sorry.
Right. Oh, if that happens, NVIDIA is probably 300, Broadcom's 5. I mean, a lot of those names have a massive move.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, like if we were to get a very ugly dip, it's not something to be that afraid of, as you've been saying.
Right.
Unless you just believe AI is fake and it's all hoopla.
Right, which I don't think that it's possible that AI is fake, because Anthropic's already proven that it's a working business model. Yeah, I mean, if Anthropic can be a profitable company here now today, and I think the key is sustained profitability over time as they come public and see that, you will not be able to challenge that use case. It's going to be like logically impossible. So I think as OpenAI and Anthropic come public, if they're able to sustain what they're able to do and they're able to actually make money, just those two and any other AI model for that matter that's a standalone model.
Is there a price target that makes NVIDIA make you feel the thesis is becoming broken across AI in general? Like, how bad does it have to get for you to be like, oh, the market is done with the story and has moved on from it? Like 120?
Oh, done with the story?
As in the market is like, they're calling BS on everything. Like, at what point is that? Because 160 doesn't really do it, right? So
no, 160 does not do it. And that's the thing where it's like, I don't really care. Like, you just buy it there. But like, it's not a single stock tell, right? Like, I think that it's the broad complex. Even if all the memory names got cut in half tomorrow, I don't think that changes anything, because like the bottleneck, what would change my thesis is if energy in general if energy were to be like cut in half, more than 30%, like the energy sector as a whole, because to me, energy is in fact everything at the end of the day. Like, if that sector were to get substantially shellacked and show no sign of life, yeah, that is when I would be like, because that's the demand, right? So like, right. Bottleneck isn't advanced packaging. I mean, it is and it isn't, but it's in reality, it's like, where does the incremental megawatt come from? That's the question. And like, if people stop thinking, if the market says, well, we don't need an incremental megawatt anymore, okay, then your thesis is broken, because they're also saying in that same breath, AI is dead,
right?
And we don't need the compute.
Microsoft,
the softie, man. She's a little soft.
She's a little soft, bro.
She's a little soft.
A little soft.
I still like it for a lot of reasons, but you know, like right into that 200-day simple, I think that was and remains kind of like our overhead resistance right over here. We hit it pretty like thoroughly, rejected also bad, but violently. But I don't think that this is done. Like, I think, like I was saying,
really the downside is done.
No, I don't think that this is. I don't even think that this trade has begun in terms of reversing to the upside. Is the downside done? That's actually a different question. So like, this could in fact have already seen the relative lows around 380. It's very possible. If this again, this has to get back over 412, and if that's the case, then we are just going to squeeze right back to the upside to where whence we came, right in this area. It's not until, as weird as this sounds, it's not until Microsoft is over like 485 that this is like, all right, don't even think about selling calls. Don't even think about doing anything downside. Just buy the crap out of this as much as you can, as much as you can. We're not quite there yet. Here we're still at like, you go ahead and nibble, right? Because this is this resistance area, like meaning like there are no, what I mean by that, over 45, there are no more dips. You are definitively going higher, higher, higher. I think this is last call territory for Microsoft, meaning like we're very nearly at what I would consider the local lows. If this cracks to 330, I think it's a buy, right? It can go as low as 300. I don't care, but like in this next wave, whichever way it goes, if this next wave down move is down, you would want to, from a long-term perspective, this is where you start to DCA. Maybe that is towards the end of the year. It's very possible, but yeah, I think you start. I think it's nearly last call. Most of what we're seeing now is kind of just like, look, this is a higher high. I kind of like above this last low, this area right here, all of that taken from really this. Let me see. My drawing tools are okay. This low before, if this is the last low, then I'm usually looking for the low before the last low. And if that is in fact where we land right here, that makes sense to see buyers step in right here. Now I just want to see them slowly start to step in from here, but it could be a slow process. And with FOMC tomorrow, I don't think you have to make any rash decisions. I don't think you have to jump into anything. But look, Microsoft, this purple line, which you can't see, is like the 200-week simple moving average. Dude, Microsoft below the 200-week simple moving average, whenever you've gotten that, it's been few and far between. It was here at 190s in 2023. You're getting it nearly into 2025 at 350. You just got it 356. Historically, this is the time. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like you don't. Sometimes you get it right. This is 2009, right, on the purple line. Like and if we go in a full blown reversal, sure, like you can have situations like this. But even if you bought all of that, right? Even if you bought every time it was below the 200 week, like, by the way, that's a $20 stock back then. Like,
are you at all afraid though that the narrative on Microsoft is just not exciting enough? And although it's undervalued, you know, even Google is still better from here.
So time is up here, but like you're asking me a fundamental question to say, I think the fundamental bear case on Microsoft, I think, is a crock of crap. If I could curse on here, I think it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. If you've ever built anything in Claude, you know, if you've ever built anything in Claude code, you know that the first thing that you have to do is, well, I learned that you have to you have to download GitHub. Like, what is that? That's Microsoft. Like, yeah. That is like one of the most bullish things. Like, dude, what are we talking about here? Like, no, GitHub's probably going to be their biggest profit driver. And like what they could potentially do with that is with AI, just based on that, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, no, I think, again, Microsoft, difference between Microsoft and the rest of the hyperscalers, they're Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon, they're paying for these build outs with real cash, like with real cash flow. They're not taking out any loans aside from, you know, well, they might be taking loans out from the consumer now. That's the biggest issue. And I think that's part of what the fear is here is like if they dilute to build the training models and inference pieces, yeah, that will keep the stocks. That'll keep a lid on the stocks, no question. But it does, back to my original thing, but it doesn't change the thesis of the data center has to be built and more compute has to be spun up. Has nothing to do with that. It just reinforces that we're going to get more. Like every hyperscaler increased like CapEx, every single one didn't like flinch at all in the midst of everything. Like everybody raised guidance on what they're going to spend. So like, it's just not in question. It's just that what is in question is which stock specifically benefits in the near term, based on what the market cares about. And like, again, price action is just, this goes back to my thing. Price action is just a reflection of near-term emotional states, and near-term emotional they don't really have that vision from Microsoft. It's like, I want to know that you're monetizing right now. That's what the market wants to know. And I want to know that you're not leveraging me, the shareholder, or the whatever to raise this capital, and that's not at risk.
Robinhood.
Oh, Robin in the hood. I want to put Robin. Hoodie, dude.
10% layoffs, bro.
So,
I mean, they basically said the layoff announcement was pretty creative. They try not to say AI. They said new technologies. And the worst part is they said our business is thriving, which makes you wonder why they're doing the layoffs. And you can only conclude it's like they kind of just don't need. I mean, they literally said some of our best people will become more effective, and we want to give them the opportunity to become more effective. AKA, we can do more with less.
Yeah,
because we don't need that many people.
I like it, dude. So I mean,
like it too, but it is ruthless at the end of the day.
Isn't that what Cloudflare? Remember Cloudflare when they did Cloudflare, when they did their layoff announcement right here, right? That was up here, by the way. The stock dumped and massively recovered since, oddly enough. But what did they say here? They didn't even make an excuse. They said we just don't need them. They were like, no, we don't need them anymore because of AI. I'm pretty sure there was something to that extent. Anyways, funny.
Zuck's kind of said the same thing as well.
Yeah. So sorry, but I think that is a concern in general. Like, and more of a. So to be serious for just a minute, it's like that is the call it bifurcated economy, where there's parts of the economy, K-shaped, whatever you want to say, that are the difference between the good and the bad, whether it's a stock or real economy. I think the distance between those is getting wider and wider, and I think that's probably going to be around for a while. Anyways, so what I like about Hood, again, fundamentally, I guess there's a lot of catalysts to look forward to. Earnings not too far, so beginning of August, we are in the beginning of that pre-earnings run up. We just kind of knocked our head on that 200-day simple moving average. We did finally fill this $98.87 session gap, so that can go away. And that is filled. So from here, you just want to see a higher low, right? And so, meaning like this high was higher than that, right? So that's good, right? And you have a higher high again. So meaning like this is my, like from here, we're good. Which oddly means that your last low is actually like way down here. So technically this can come down as low as like mid 80s, but ideally around 90s, having some kind of chop like that, and then doing maybe one more press, something like this, one more press before earnings into this resistance is 108.36, which comes from this cohort of sellers, which were buyers here and buyers here and here and here. So anyone that bought in this area, they're going to get a second chance over here around 109 to decide whether or not they want to keep it. So I would assume that this entire section becomes resistance. That section goes as high as like 120, but I think that we can pull back a little bit and then get another bounce, something like this. So from mid 80s back into another $20 bounce, but you have to pull back first for that to happen. I like that setup. And if we can get through 109, then I think 120s is really in play. But again, at 120s, that's really where the bears are. And so again, I've always said this: to be a good bull, you need to know where the bears are at least. So just know that this area, this entire range, essentially from here to here, which is 120 down to 75, this is the range that Robinhood is trading in right now. It's at this 122 area, which comes from these sellers right here, the real breakdown. If Robinhood is in fact trading over that sustained post earnings, this is going significantly higher. And we are ways away from being able to say that. But if that does happen, we're 250 range on this stock, you know, in a couple years times. But right now we're just battling between, you know, bears and the bulls, and ultimately it will resolve one way or the other. But for now, this becomes a trading range. And so just know resistance is at low 120s. If somehow we are actually sustaining over 125, the bears have lost definitively and decisively, and onwards and upwards, but not until then.
Yeah, I agree. I also think you just need real. Last quarter was not good earnings growth, and this quarter will be, but they got to keep it going. Q3, Q4, it's tough.
Yeah, just to note, right? I think that this move right here, right now, is fake, right? So it's that pre-earnings run up is what we're seeing on speculation that we have new catalysts, right? We finally have a series of events to look forward to on Robinhood. So the market's going to front run that. It's not real until we're through those events, and that's my biggest caution. Market's going to think that NBA Finals, World Cup is going to be great for prediction markets. It's probably going to be good for them, but the market might overshoot how good it's going to be. You know, Trump accounts probably going to be good for them, but the market might overshoot how they're going to be good, how good they're going to be. Agentic trading, market might overshoot how fast people are going to adopt that type of technology. Yeah. And so those are the things that I would caution here. But just know in the near term, we can continue higher. But before earnings, this is kind of like speculation of good news, more good news to come.
Okay, let's get the clock at 1:30. We got a lot of tickers. So let's try to get through a bunch more of them.
I love how I have my presets too.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Nebius. Oh, baby. Did you know it was all the way up here again? I did not. Yeah, this is as long as it can hold 250, about 300, well, this is a measurement. This is the 3x from that entire consolidation. So you're pretty full up here. 1, 2, and 3 takes you to about 286. 215 I said was support last time. We breached it just slightly. It looks like we got to about 200. As long as this can hold 250, it's possible that this continues higher. This is very near-term support. If you're over, call it 290, this thing is just uncapped, and we're in absolute price discovery mode on the Nebius ahead of earnings. Otherwise, 215 is still remains support on this guy. Realer support. Realer. Anyways, next. How was that? Is it pretty fast?
No, that's great. But Realer is
Realer.
Is that a
No, it's not. Not even kind of a word.
I would definitely say that. Hymns.
Hymns. I have not looked. I think it was doing better.
Yeah, broke 30.
Yeah, this is all right. 27.25, 27.75. This is going to try. It's in consolidation right now. So consolidation is like this general area. It's a large percent area, but when you zoom out and you look at what's happening, this is consolidation. Essentially, if you can create another little cup and handle, that is really what you're going to have happen before earnings. And this could be I think I said 39 last time. Again, 39 here is your resistance area from all this, all that, these sellers or these old buyers. If there's anyone left there, that's where it is. Right now, you're kind of just contending with the lower cohort that was buyers over here and so forth, aligned with your 200-day simple. But all in all, I think this is fairly bullish. I would not chase a breakout today in this moment of this market because of fears. So anything at resistance, I expect to have come back down, call this around 20, just underneath 28 support with upside of 39.
MRVL.
Marvel. We're moving and grooving here. On support right here, right now. Right now. Look at that. So under 278, this drops to 261 right there. that is where it was picked up last time. This is a measurement from the Jensen says this is going to be the next $1 trillion stock moment. Essentially, this from 220 to 337. This is that support range right in here. So a higher level of support is in that 278. If it can do that, then this has a chance to attempt to get back into the 337 area. And if it does, then that's potentially 400s. Below 250, you do have the full gap to fill. So below 250, let this go. Don't even think about chasing this. Maybe pick it up closer to 200. But it's a volatile moment here.
Yeah, this thing went from 330 to 244, dude. I
stopped trading.
And literally the only reason is because Jensen said it should go to $1 trillion.
This is one where, like, dude, I had my thesis in like the sub 80s, right? And like, someone asked me before, I was like, are you adding to MRVL? I'm like, no. I'm not trimming either. But like, the reason is I don't want this to position to get completely out of hand for me personally. Sorry, I'm not on the TA right now. I'm just portfolio management. I trimmed what I wanted to trim on MRVL. I'm just letting my winner run here, and I'm not trying to have what happened to me back when Hood went from 40 to 80 in very short order and have a position get completely oversized and me not sleep well at night because like things are getting crazy. This is probably potentially even higher beta than Hood and Palantir were back in those days. So I just want it to breathe. I don't want it to be an unruly position, because for me, I can tell you that if the position gets too big in terms of concentration on my portfolio, I will take profit too early. I will close out too early. I will stop out too early, and I will not give it the room that it needs to have to mature as an entity.
Okay, can we do KEEL very quickly? This KEEL army in the chat is gonna chop my head off if we don't.
Yeah, I bought $0 puts today. We're good. I kid.
Dude, you're gonna have an army after you. I don't know how this cult is being formed, but
I don't
it's
either.
being formed.
So you got a big bowl. If you want to be a cup and handle, you need to be closer to like the 4s. That's $4 is a much better pickup than 6. And I know it sounds like a lot, but dude, go back in time, run this scenario. You want that, right? This is it comes from essentially like this low to here. Sorry, guys. So similar to my MRVL, just let this go. You don't need to sell it. You don't need to do anything, but just know if you had a basic pullback from this low to this high, $4, this concentration area here, this here again, this can pull back to 4 and be perfectly fine. Don't chase this. Let it be. No need to add to me, but $4 is a better buy by far. Otherwise, if you're long and strong, be long and strong. Expect to take some profit in the mid 9s.
Okay. ServiceNow.
That wasn't bad, was it?
No, that was
fine. I need to see this over 110. So 110 is kind of like your pivot. It's kind of an ugly day right now. So it's coming back into 100. I don't want to chase this guy either. I think that this area here, all of this is important to note, but it's a few dollars lower. Like we got one little wick over here. 105, 110 comes from here. And this, if I were to draw it straight across, is essentially all these. Is this annotation thing working okay for me? It works for me. Where this pivot was here, where this breakdown was here, resistance over here. This is why 110. If you zoom out and look even further left, you'll see more confluence. So this is below 110, above 110, just like you saw here, go parabolic almost. That is your pivot. And so where this stock becomes ready to like really roll is not until it's over like this general area. So support until then remains down here potentially as high as
that's 20% lower.
Yep, sure is, dude. But
know?
again, like you look at this from a long-term perspective. Here, I said 110, right? I'll just make a random.
Dude, this thing was 140 2 weeks ago. That's the crazy.
Yeah, it was, but this is where we are in the market. So here's a line. I'm going to change this line to coordinates 110. Okay, so I'm on a weekly chart. I forgot to do the timer. You can see it now. So this is a much longer term chart. You should be able to see it now. Big pivot. This is like 2020. Big breakdown here. Where 2025's explosion came from. Why is 110 that important? You should be able to put a cleaner picture into your perspective when you zoom out enough and you're like, oh, okay, here we are, right? And so, yeah, if I were to measure from this low to this high, where's resistance? Like that first level, I mean, we already hit it, right? Your resistance is here. That's it. And so, yep, you hit your head on resistance. So you probably need to go back to support. Where would support be? All of this general area. And if this support was not big enough, did not generate enough buyers to get through that, well, it's very possible that you need to go lower, right? Which is in the 60s is what it is.
I would hope there's enough buyers before they get, but I see what you're saying. Like, if you can't find that liquidity, it has to go lower.
Yeah. You're like anywhere between here and there, like here as in sub 100 to 60. I think you just have to know what's the downside is to be able to make a sound decision to me, right? So if you buy at $100 thinking, oh, it's the low, and then you hold on, the worst thing that happens as a trader, this is like, let me tell you a story, right? Sorry, I'm not on the clock here. But like you buy $100 because you think it's a nice round number, people should hold it here. And then it loses $100 and it goes down to 90 and they're like, oh, they're going to pick it up. And then it goes down to 80 and you're like, oh, I'm getting pretty close to the lows. And then it goes to 70 and you're like, dude, what is, I'm down over 30% right now. And then it goes to 65 and you're like, F it. You get the case of the efforts and you're like, I'm out of this, right? Dude, the moment that you do that, I'm telling you, 67 right here, it's going to go straight back up. And then you're going to be fumbling over yourself. Oh, wait till it gets back over 100 and be like, I'm going to be more, consistent now, or I'm going to try to follow my rules now. And then you're like, oh, so you wait till it's 125 and you'll probably buy right here. And what happens? It just takes another dump on you the second that you buy, right? So like, just chill, right? And understand, like, yeah, it's a volatile market, but that's my point. This is something that everyone goes through. You look at the chat. I'll look at this chat. Like that was me. Because this is not unique. Nobody's unique in this scenario. So just know I've gone through it. Amit goes through it literally every day right now. like we all do this. It's part of the learning experience. One purpose of this show is to help stop or at least identify some of those old behaviors so that we don't have to repeat them over and over and over, right? Like this is tuition. Like those experiences are your tuition. The question is that you need to ask yourself, did I get any education for the tuition that I just paid?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's a different question. It's a harder question.
Meta. Is this the nibble? I mean, this was 550 3 days ago.
I did.
Okay.
I did over here, or like where would I 550? Yeah, I did, but I did it like from an options perspective because I don't know if it's I texted you. You guys, just so you know, Admit is getting the text messages right now. He's getting the text messages. I don't know if he's taking the trades. But what did I tell him when I texted you?
Meta, what was it? 600 calls for this week?
July.
July.
So down here, I think this was, so I think taking these moments where you can look at the market, like the market just freaked out right now for no real good reason. And identifying these like liquidity areas. I think you could take some small shots. Don't think that the bottom is in, but I took a shot down here. I don't remember what day it was, one of these 2 days, for Meta essentially to go back up to its 200-day, which is about 660 ahead of earnings. So remember, the easy money is the run up into earnings. That's the end of July, right here, and usually I want to be in at least. It'll usually start right about now. So I just took an opportunity to maybe snipe a trade into earnings, which takes me to 660. I do not think that this is going to extend. If it does extend beyond 660 ahead of earnings, I think it's fake. But this move into 660 ahead of earnings, I think is what the easy money is. I'm in this trade for an easy money trade. And that is what it is. Not an investment. It's just a trade near term for a run up into earnings. So that said, I'm already up a considerable amount and I'm already like trimming a little bit. So like it is what it is. I think you could take some, if you get something like 580 or holding 585 from here, this can pull back like this and this hold. So read the arrows, the pathing, if you will. I'm saying that this could do this and it can come back down as low as 585 and still be valid to make another run to 660s.
And that would line up with earnings as well.
Exactly. And like I've been trying to say, like the pre-earnings run up, the pre-earnings front run, I think that is the easy money. It's just after earnings and trying to gamble through earnings, like that's not easy. That's not easy money.
AMD.
AMD easy. Holding. This did not happen. We should do Intel, dude.
Yeah, we should do that after.
We really need to do Intel. I've not taken a good look at Intel. I would like to. Yeah, this is fine. Believe it or not, AMD's perfectly fine.
This is what?
It's fine. Like it's still
fine.
bullish. It's going higher. Yeah, there's nothing here to be concerned about. Like even this little blip in the radar. So just typical measurement. Like I keep doing this. So I keep doing these measurements, this fib stuff. It's just a way to get some confluence and context to what I'm already seeing. I have some volume shelf over here between 520 to 491. That should be your downside support around 490. As long as it's over 490, essentially this pullback right now has broken through the bearish resistance. You got a little blip push through, tap the highs, actually do make a new high. So from here, you're kind of just looking for a higher low. And typically that higher low would show up in this box between 510 and 491. If you see price coming out of this area, expect this to go back towards the highs. And if it can get through, that's, I don't know what you want me to say. I don't know why you put me in these situations. It's 6 to 650.
It's going to a trillion.
I don't, yeah. So $1 trillion, it's still on track. You suck for making me say that, but okay.
Intel.
Yeah, Intel. So Intel is the one I want to look at right now because this, oh yeah, love this. Okay, so I have this consolidation already. Look, so my Intel tuition, that's not a word. Intel tuition, my spidey senses are kind of going off on Intel. I'm really not sure where this goes, like from here, but you know, like the Intel's free call option, if you will, was always that it could be a foundry, right? And so the rumors here and this $3 billion TPU order from Intel by Google, this is rumored, right? I think it's real for CPUs, but the foundry piece is more of a rumor than reality.
Yep.
On this headline, the stock pops another 13%. This is the free call option that still exists to this day in Intel. if this has any truth to it, which my spidey senses are actually saying it does, this ain't over, like, at all.
I mean, Jensen and Trump are still holding. They haven't sold.
Yeah. I got a weird feeling. It's a vibe thing. You don't trade off vibes. But honestly, if this is over 225, like, really, I'm 125, 120, yeah, 125, then this kind of like consolidation area. Let me just take this off. Like this consolidation here and from here, that breaks over this. It's about 125, right? And so in between, let me just different color. In between this area, that's more of like a don't need to chase kind of thing. But this setup, what I do, pink. This setup sets up more like this again. And if that does happen, dude, this is well into the 200s. And I think something like the potential of the foundry, just on rumors, I think it could do some stupid thing like that, like on if it becomes very real. So yeah, this, as long as this is overnight, the stop on Intel for if you're in an active trade, it's not a short until it's below 93. So there's nothing wrong with this uptrend. It's in a small consolidation. And I got a little spidey sense thing going off right now where, yeah, it could be a speculative long, bigly long. I don't know. So I'm watching this right now, especially into earnings. They would probably announce it on something like that. And just this move, if you get this into earnings, this is 170 into earnings. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, that'd be closing in on $1 trillion at that point.
I'm just saying, this was TJ's sell. TJ had the greatest call ever on earth, potentially, and didn't write it.
Yeah, but he was using it to sell premium again, so he would have never held it.
I do. But we had this conversation. I was like, dude, your negative book value. Like, yeah. we should have just done it like big time and not sold. This is what I don't want to have happen to me with MRVL. Is like, I don't want to have like a stupid large position, have it get ultra big because I'm an active trader, and then like get worried about it and take profit too early, trim too early, stop out too early, any of that kind of stuff.
Tesla.
So yeah, raging bull market. Except for Tesla, we had outlined this consolidation before she broke down. So Tesla is not in a raging bull market. It is below 415 and had rejected this 415. Last time I think that we spoke, I said, don't sell cover calls on this one and just kind of see where she can go. That was really like my intention there, was to see like, okay, if she can get through 440 and start breaking forward, this becomes a $600 stock. Didn't happen. We did break down. We retested that said breakdown point literally this Monday, rejected again. So this one now, yeah, you need to be a little bit more cautious than optimistic. We kind of outlined if your downside on this is around 360s near term. If you want to be aggressively cautious, you would sell some slightly in the money calls on Tesla. But it's not really over yet. We'll have to see. Like 380s, this becomes real. Like if you lose this area and this broad support here, which we tested once and bounced out of, if we lose that, then yeah, okay, this is probably, the fat lady's already up at the mic. But right now, like, they're just doing the mic check, and it's not really over. This could easily happen like that, but we don't have that invalidation until we're over 415. But for right now, no, she's still gonna at least at best case go sideways, but 388, 380s is your kind of downside support right now. If that 380 support breaks, then yeah, you're in more trouble.
Palantir.
PLTR. I think, I like these kind of setups. I forgot to buy it today. I was going to buy this thing. How you feeling about defense right now? I feel like this is still getting a little bit of beating, but I think it's kind of closer to the anyways.
I think all the bullish defense news has already been priced in.
I think that they think that all the bullish defense news has already been priced in, but it's not. I think that they think that I think that you think.
But what's left?
I think that Q2 does get a little slower, but Q3 ramps hot and heavy, which means that Q2 becomes the buy. Right now, this area is still, so look, technically the one thing, and I said this on my stream about Palantir, is that I don't want to get the Palantirians' hopes up too much. I think you could take this long right here, right now. And it's mostly on the fact that this little tiny wick was actually a higher high up here. And if this is the last low right here, what I want to do is just for a bounce, not an actual trend change, is I want to look for where's the low right before the last low. So if this is the last low, this area is the low before the last low. I can literally tag this actually and say, well, that's as damn close to picture perfect as you can get. So from here, I think you can actually look for a move back into that area. Now, that said, if it locks a lower high somewhere around that 150 area, 156, then that's all she wrote for right now, and you're still in consolidation. But as long as this is over 125, you're not making new lows, and you just barely started to make new highs. So you're at least going into consolidation, like I was saying. And if at the bare minimum from a trading perspective, if this is the consolidation range, well, I just know that this is the top of the box, and that means that this is your support. So I can take trades all day long from trade the edges, right? I can take this as a tradable range all day long. So from here coming out of the bottom, it's a tradable range to 155s from that perspective, and a risk reward perspective. It's pretty attractive, quite frankly. Like, I would just have a stop here. Let's say a 2.5 to 1 risk reward, 3 to 1 maybe. It's not bad.
There's
It's
also
a high
high
risk
last time too.
Yeah, it's a high risk, high reward. So this is one where, like, if you're going to take something like that, you don't take it if you don't know how to use the sell button. People that don't know how to use the sell button can't take this trade. Like, it's a trade.
Right. ELF.
That's not ELF. ELF, relief bounce into resistance. Oh, you got a nice little bounce. Sell.
Wow. No faith.
None. So no, that is like 76 from the lows. You're not making a higher high yet. So this right here is your last high right there. You're going to have to get through that. This guy, 70, that's 71.56. All this area here is your resistance. And then from that last earnings, oh, check this out. From the actual low, the depths of the last earnings, you got 2 points right here.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's not the greatest look, quite frankly.
I feel like the retail sales number was bullish enough to get the street a little excited, but
yeah,
I don't know, to your point, if it's running to 100 anytime soon.
Yeah, so this is that kind of like just general area, resistance here, support there. You basically just want to say, you want to see, all right, well, you've had a big bounce from this last more recent earnings high or earnings like candle. So you can move your stop up. You can stay long. You don't have to sell. But if you got long at 50 or 55, let's say, at $70, high 60s, you're up 50%. Most people would take a little profit. Most active traders would take a little profit at 50%. Good trade. Move on. Can it continue? Yeah, but I don't know enough about researching. I have not researched this enough to say one way or the other. From a fundamental perspective, I think it would come down to that. Price action is going to tell me like, yeah, it could continue slightly higher to 77. But if you're thinking that this is going to be a $300 stock, you're not even close to being able to make that call yet.
SOFI
held. She's like Palantir and she's like Hoodie. Oh, dude.
I mean, it did well today because the rate cut narrative might be back, but can it hold, you know?
What is it? Like, that would just be speculation from Warsh, right?
It is pure speculation.
Yeah. So, like, again, I think you have a rate cut narrative speculation. You have earnings August 4th. I like this setup. You have a nice little rounding bottom, whatever, the bowl, the nice little setup, right? 1852 has been resistance for the last few months, however long. That was support here. Wow, 3 months, 4 months. For the last 4 months, 1852 has been resistance. It was support once, like right here. And then it broke down right over here. And it broke down again right over here. And it held as resistance right here. So right now, this is taking 1, 2. This is going to take shot number 3. It will very likely fail. And then it'll pull back maybe to like 17s. But if at some point after a failure like that, you see this area hold one more time around the 16s, I'm just walking you through the pathing. Shot number 4 is usually bigly. And there is no such thing as a triple top is what they say. But attempt number 3 can be kind of devastating from a price action perspective. So that's what I see right now. Attempt number 3 can go up as high as 19, but it's probably not necessarily going to hold. If it pulls back, makes another higher low, and goes for it again, you can only knock on a door so many times before you break through.
ASTS.
So I like it. I like this like I like Rocket Lab. High risk, high reward. I think that SpaceX, if the thought is that SpaceX was holding up, if the thought is that SpaceX was sucking the life out of the other space plays, and I kind of just showed you a chart where SpaceX actually might be a little exhausted, very near term, prime for a slight pullback, that could set up for a nice little pop in some of the space names.
But what if it just takes the space names down with it? Or you think that's unlikely?
I don't know that that's really likely. I think that everybody thought that SpaceX could be a nice little quick IPO trade because of liquidity or lack thereof, and because of pending buying, and you're quickly 40% up or something after even buying it in the open market. I'm not assuming that people actually got the IPO allocation, although you seem to have gotten your full IPO request of 1 share, I heard. So congratulations. But if you bought it on the open market on day 1, you're up a pretty penny. You might, and again, this is just price, just thinking out loud, you might see some of that profit get spread out across the rest of the cohort. Specifically, ASTS is, again, finding itself at a good profit spot, or a good spot from a price perspective, like a good risk reward spot. Although Rocket Lab here now is at a stronger spot than ASTS. Rocket Lab is at a stronger momentum area where if Rocket Lab holds here, that can be more violent upside move. ASTS here is more of a discounted level, but still has a lot of overhead resistance to fight through.
Okay.
Look at this. Someone's got some bangers in there. I can run through some of these.
All right, go ahead.
KLA. Yeah, KLA never sell. Number one. This is probably going to be one of Amit's picks. I don't know. Coming in earnings off of this last earnings here. Look, these guys, as opposed to some of the others, might get more profit taking ahead of their earnings. And I think that this is in that classification of high flyers. Honestly, if you can get KLA close to 195, 200, I would like that. I would much prefer that ahead of earnings. I think that's fine. You have to me, there's zero there. This raging bull market here, I don't see having a potential of not working. What did they say the other one was? Doesn't click. Oh, this is another one. I don't have. Oh, LRCX, same thing. KLA and LRCX are all in the same. They're the same class. Same thing. Both test and measurement. There are a handful of companies just like this. Do not sell these. Not right now.
Do Qualcomm.
Qualcomm, investor event, end of the month. I think I'm a little concerned about the Qualcomm here. Not really concerned. I'm more concerned if it runs up into the event than not. So the event is the 24th. If this is like $300 before the end of before the event, I think we could be setting up for a sell the news event. I think that the event is highly anticipated, so it's lofty right now, but I think it's a good spot. Sub 200, if you get it. This is one where I'm already in the MRVL mode where I'm like, dude, okay, it's had a big move. I don't think this is necessarily done, but I don't want to get too over my skis. I've taken profits so many times on option trades here and rolled and blah, 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 blah. This 190 area, which I bought last time right here, happens to be like the prior high from 2022. Mind you, in 2022, this was decidedly a cell phone company. In 2024, this was decidedly a cell phone company. So between 230 and 180, this, I believe, becomes kind of like that trading range. And we actually already got that. So I already got the 230 exit just from, again, how fast this market is moving is crazy. It's literally from here to there. Boom, boom. This is a trade that Amit texted me he was going to take, and he already made like 400% on it. I'm joking. It was the opposite way around. But if this does get through 230 spot 87, yeah, we are going back into this 300 area. And I think from here to there, this can still kind of base out like that and end up looking a little bit like that ahead of either Investor Day on the 24th or earnings on the 5th. My biggest concern is that Christian, the CEO, gets a little over his skis, goes a little ADD, talks about cars or this, that, and the other, and doesn't just wholly focus on the data center product that's to come, which is why this company is getting the attention that it's getting and why you're seeing the price action that you're seeing is because, like I was saying before, at 230, at 180, this is a cell phone company. The anticipation here is that this no longer is just a cell phone company and that a new product is about to come out off the shelf that could be bigger than everything it's ever done combined.
Moderna.
Well, you did get COVID.
I did get COVID.
So we're going long.
So we're going long.
MRNA?
I mean, it's had a good year, bro. A really good year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, when we used to talk about this, you used to ask me about this at like, what, 200, 100, 120? And I was like, no. I mean, at $25, have at it. We're good. You're off the lows. Yeah, you're good. I think this is $20. I think is where I bought it last time. Somewhere over here.
Well, it's at 55 now.
Yeah. So 55, I don't think it, look, I don't know enough about the company anymore. But I think it's probably safe to say that it's mostly bottomed near term. And now it becomes more about, well, do they have enough runway or new product pipeline? Because this chart back over here, all of this is mostly irrelevant right now. Special situation. And so it's more about what does this company have in the future in terms of what products and things like that are they going to be bringing to market? And can that kind of bring this back and save its behind? Possibly, but I don't know what that is right now. Price action, $62 is upside resistance at the moment. And if you get through that 90s, this is biotech. I just don't know enough about it right now.
Oracle.
Nope. Resistance. Hey, that was the call. You 260 ahead of earnings, 258. It was good enough for government work. We're right there. Resistance held. Support did not. Support did not hold there. Yeah, you're a little trappy here. You can't, if this is below 175, it's back to the gulag. Right now it's kind of trapped. So it's trapped between 192 and 175 in this little, I'm going to call this a trap zone. So this is more of like a no trade zone here. And you kind of just wait and see, like, okay, cool. If it's over that 190s, we can head back into that 260 area. But at the same time, if it's below, call it 175, that's the gulag. And you're on your way over here to the gulag. So I don't really want to play in, we say don't diddle in the middle. You can wait. Yeah. These guys probably are like, dude, what is this guy talking about now? Especially people that don't know me. Like, Amit, you're losing followers right now. I mean, this jamoke on your channel.
Can we do Netflix? You think it's a nibble spot as well here? I don't like it. And the reason I don't like it is because they were supposed to buy Roku. That failed. Supposed to buy Warner Brothers. That failed. Now they're in talks to buy Lionsgate. I think these guys are running out of content. Although the chart does look like this should be the bottom, right?
Well, this was the bottom last time, and then this is still resistance now. We got up into resistance once. I said I took a shot right around 90, thinking that it could go, and then it quickly failed. So I actually closed that trade. I was looking at this area, seeing like, will this happen to be support over here? And it did not. So just like I was saying before, is like, if this is to be the low, typically I want to look left and say, what's the low before the last low? And we can quickly identify it as here. And so the question is, did that hold? No. This is a weekly chart. It did not hold. So no, I don't think this is the low. I think it
doesn't look like a triple bottom to you.
It could. It's not below 75, right? And like this little area here, that was when we first did this, and you asked me when we were up here. You asked me when we were up here pre-split, something about that. You're like, what would the level be? And I said 60s. But 75 could be really close. I think that still holds. But you can turn this essentially into an entire range, quite frankly, from 75 down to 57. Again, you might be like, oh, that's really wide, Jason. That's a lot. But this whole area is in fact support, right? This prior high is whatever that is, just about 70. That's from this is 2022 all-time high right there. So like, yeah, it could, I'm just gonna make orange. I don't know. It could come in and maybe bounce like that and you get a quadruple bottom. But the problem here is that if that happens and this bounces like that, it's still at risk of really like curling and doing that. Does that make sense? Like you can get a tradable bounce, but I mean, 75 to 100 is good money. Like I don't want to mince words there. That's a great trade. But it is a trade at the end of the day. And this is getting steeper and steeper. I still think, yeah, it's possible that we're not done. And until you get more into K-dramas, I don't think that you'll be able to see the value of Netflix because the K-dramas are really good, dude. I just put it out there.
Dude, they have not had a single big thing this year that's been super important. And
other than the Huntress, important? No, like
yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I want to buy it here because I'm like, dude, Netflix is a great business, but I'm also like with Meta and Amazon trading at these levels, it's not even that cheap compared to the tech companies that have a better moat. And then where's the content that's supposed to get people excited? The Diddy documentary, like that was the biggest thing they had this year.
I mean,
I guess everything, bro.
They're trying to find their new direction.
And no, they tried to buy Harry Potter for $80 billion because they don't have any direction. Like that's the part that really makes me think.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're in an investment. The reason that this to me, and I said it over here when I sold my Netflix from down there, was that they were very explicit. They're in an investment mode as a corporation. And so your choice as a shareholder is very clear right now. Like we're not talking trading anymore, but as a shareholder, you have a decision to make. Do I want to continue to stay on this ride as we try to find the next investment that will eventually pay off? Even when they find it, it's not going to pay off right away. So this has to be a situation where you sit there and you think, okay, company's in an investment mode. That means that they need to find the next business unit or the next angle to make more money. How is Netflix going to go from 500 billion to 5 trillion? It's not with what they have right now. Not with what they have right now. It's going to have to be ads. It's going to have to be Netflix After Dark, Netflix XXX. It's going to have to be the game, whatever it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be, but they have to figure that out. And I think they're looking towards live streaming. They're looking towards, the documentaries, that kind of stuff. And they're kind of grasping at straws, to your point. But once they find the solution to their problems, it's going to be off and
bro,
running.
It's gotten so bad they have to pay podcasters.
That's what I'm talking about. But is that
I'm not denying Netflix hasn't had good content. I'm just saying it's looking like they can't find any new content.
Yeah. So like, yeah. And so it's a different, I think it's saturated with what it is, but the install base is massive and there's a boatload of value there. So if Netflix can figure out what that next switch is that they need to flip, yeah, you betcha that you want to be part of this. And if you think that you can snipe the lows, I don't know, right? I'm giving you levels 75 down to $60. I think it's worth a shot, right? But it's with that perspective that, you know what, it's the value here is the subscriber base at the end of the day and how they're able to monetize that subscriber base. It's one of the biggest in the world, as I understand it. And that in and of itself has a lot of value. Are they monetizing it to the full extent today? With what they have, they're saturated. So they have to find what the next thing is.
Amazon.
Dude, last week you asked me, didn't you? You said, can this go down to 250? And I was like, yeah, 245.
It went to 230.
And then you got a text. Did you not?
Did you text me about Amazon?
I text you 3 things. I text you Qualcomm, Amazon, Meta.
Oh, I thought it was just Qualcomm and Meta.
No, it was boom, boom, boom. Anyways, they're all closed now because they're just a bounce spot. So, or not closed. Meta's not closed. These were very short term. So I think from here, Amazon, it went right into that support that we outlined last week, 235s, give or take. We are below. So this blue line, this here is earnings. So this box essentially is the earnings candle, all of this. So from here, a little sketched out on Amazon, but if this can hold moving forward, that general area, sorry, get back to it. If this can do a little something like that, this can be 260s, which is going to be that 50% retrace. I think that's very possible. I think you could take this shot, get this. I think that you can take a shot like this at the depths of tomorrow's trading session, as early as tomorrow at the bloodiest red point that you can find. That might, in fact, be the absolute close, just so you know. Tomorrow's price action can be very similar to non-farm payrolls day, meaning that can I walk them through the playbook? If anybody knows, do you know how FOMC trades? It always trades the exact same every time, but people know how it works. Some don't. The real move doesn't happen until the stream turns off. So there'll be a bunch of fake noise all morning. The morning doesn't matter. You can trade it. About an hour before the actual conference starts, stop day trading. Just stop. 30 minutes before the conference begins, the notes will be released. That first move is fake, like 100% of the time. It's fake. You can reverse it. Then the actual conference starts. That move gets faded. There'll be some kind of comment midstream. If you're trading this, you're guessing mid speech, or if he goes off the handle, which that's what we don't know tomorrow. If he stays on script or not, we don't really know. And then there might be some other noise during some Q&A portions of the stream. All of that stuff is most of the time not real. What happens to be real intraday, and I'm just talking about for that day, for tomorrow only, once the stream ends, you'll see usually a large continuation. And that's where your real trade as a day trader shows up most of the time. It also doesn't typically follow through. This would be a day where, like NFP, if it goes bad, it could close the day on the dead lows, left out in the back, in the freaking what do you call those? In the alleyway, in a pool of its own blood, and nobody had come to save it at any point during the day. Goes even further after market, and then Thursday opens bright freaking green. I'm so serious that's how these things play out sometimes. So during the day, look, if that kind of stuff is going to bother you or make you uneasy, don't watch. Come back next week and let's see. Let's reassess. So I would just say that's how it could very well play out. So
yeah, no one really knows what Kevin Warsh is going to say tomorrow. So
and that's my, like, we could close on the dead highs tomorrow, because everybody could be, and I could see this easily. We could we're just chopping it up right now, guys. I'm not going to hit the timer. But like, we could see a lot of profit taking coming into the meeting, during the meeting, throughout some Q&A questions, and we could be going red. And once that stream ends, remember what I said, it's once the stream ends that you actually see some real buyers show up. The moment that stream closes, there's nothing actually left to worry about from that perspective. My plan, and you can plan a plan, but also plan to not follow the plan if it comes down to it. But for right now, my thought process is that actually happens, meaning that we see more profit taken into the event. During the FOMC commentary, we see some profit taking even during Q&A. But once that stream turns off, if I see buyers step in because there's no longer the overhang of what's he going to say, I'm probably going to be going long right there. So we'll see. But plan the plan to throw the plan out the window. Who knows?
Thursday is quad witching.
Thursday's quad witching.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking that there's going to be a lot of liquidity. So
I think we're closed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more about the close of tomorrow, and then can we follow through on Thursday? Because if there's not if there's not a lot of liquidity, and Friday is either overloaded with buyers or overloaded with sellers, Thursday can see a big continuation potentially from Wednesday. So whatever way Thursday goes, I would probably like really ride that. But again, it's not going to give me a big tell for the foreseeable future because of these multiple catalysts back to back. So I think, you know, from here, it's a lot of noise. We're not going down. We're definitely, I don't see us going up really. But we know where support is. And if I get a chance to snipe it at the lows again between now and next week, I plan on doing that.
Celsius.
I mean, it's there. Did I say I would buy it again right here? I did, didn't I?
You said you'd buy this pretty much every new low we've hit. You were
no, I said I would buy it again here.
What, 39?
Right,
no.
Yes. And we got that. And so I bought it. I think I bought it here. And then I was very upset because that first target was like over here and it hit it for like 2 seconds.
Oh,
and
yeah,
none of my crew remember this whole thing?
Oh,
My crew didn't tell me. I was like, what the actual hell, guys?
Why did it go to 60 that day? What happened?
That's earnings day.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, nobody. Was I like the only one? My whole crew let me be like the only person in the trade or something because nobody was screaming or what? I'm like, dude, what's happening? Anyways. So
it got cut in half since that day. That's cool.
Yeah, sure did.
Do you like the thesis on this anymore? Because this was the hot trade in 24, and then it topped it out at 100, and then it felt.
I don't know. You know, okay, so I have decided that this is not the one, and it's mostly because I found the one. I already know which one is the winner. So I mean, Monster Beverage, right, is what we're talking about. The greatest stock ever invented in the planet of Earth, right? Like this is what he's talking about. Then the whole hype around Celsius is like, it could be this. The thing is, it's not Celsius. And I think I missed the actual winner. And I'm just kind of upset about, do you know what it is?
Monster or
no, the next monster.
Let me guess.
I think
it's public.
Yes, it's newly public. Within the last 2 or 3 years.
Coco?
Yeah.
Shout out to Benny. I stole his comment there. Oh, yeah. That's Tom Brady also.
Yeah. So this is actually, I think, Monster Beverage 2.0. And I think I missed it. I'm like, dude, what the hell? This earnings, I mean, is it a fad? I don't know. But like, it's right there in front of you. It's a totally different. I mean, like, yeah. IPO 2022, 2021. It is Coco. So, you know, it is what it is. RIP. I should go buy some some coconut water. I really should.
Oscar. This one's had a massive move.
It did. So hopefully you still have your shares from when we were talking about it.
I never bought Oscar.
You didn't?
No, never bought this one.
Dude, again, I think that like if you didn't trim already over here, have at it from the $10, $11, $12 lows. You're double, right? So when you get a double in the equity market here now, you've got it in double. I think that depending on how much work you want to put into looking into a company like this, what I would probably do is say, take my principal out and lock the rest of it entirely in a drawer and check back in like 5 years straight up, and let her cook. Because I don't know that we're going to get it, but I don't want to lose any money. Take your principal out, let it ride. Nokia. I do not have a problem with Nokia specifically. I think that there could be a problem with the service providers like Lumentum, VSAT, those kind of. They didn't have like Lumentum. I still have, but like this didn't hold, and it really needed to hold. I don't know. So like right here, we're like, we're tight on, but there's the whole cohort of these. Ericsson, I think that these are coming down right now as a group, collectively, right, wrong, or indifferent. It doesn't matter, but there's some headwinds at the sector level for these guys. Mostly, I think it's not right, but I think near term, it might not be over. Regardless, if you see this close to $11-10 again, I think it's a buy. Otherwise, I wouldn't necessarily sell this. I would just like chill, see how this plays out. Technically, you're still in resistance. You didn't get through. It's still on track for the 22s, but you do have a lower high right now. Equal lows. At least I think this goes into consolidation, like the whole group of them, while they kind of like catch their breath and the market decides where they're going to go next. I think longer term, this isn't stopping. Nokia versus some of the others it's further out in time, so this one might take a lot longer to actually play out than hype showed for momentum. In reality. So like in the meantime, it's going to be somewhat headline driven and momentum driven. I don't think the thesis is gone by any means, but I think it'd take a quick break, and a pullback is probably an opportunity, but not just yet.
ZETA.
Not bad, my dude. Actually,
I think it's followed ServiceNow to an extent, to be honest.
ServiceNow.
Yeah.
This should not follow ServiceNow.
Well, when this was 25, ServiceNow was 140. And they're both basically going right back to where they were.
No.
I guess I'd say IGV it's following more than anything.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, it is in IGV. If anything, this should follow, I almost said TTD. Sorry. If anything, this should follow Shop, which it's doing better than Shopify for sure. Maybe Reddit. About Reddit. But ZETA is constructive, dude. So 1840 is support right here. If this holds like that, I think that's how you continue on. But you did hit resistance. That's the third try. So I like this. So we get 1, 2, 3. Third shot usually is a bigger pullback, which, I mean, that's a bigger pullback. But if it starts to take a 4 shot, that's the one that usually cracks. I say usually, it's not. Is what it is. Next.
Google.
The Googs, dude. So today's one of the weirdest days, right? So like QQQ, like lows of the days. Meanwhile, what was it? Meta, Google, and Apple all pushing towards the highs. It was just the wildest day. I think today was a tell in general on like what the market might consider safety in the future. I still like Google for a lot of those reasons. Is it out of the weeds? No. Right? 387 is actually upside resistance, or higher, the next level of resistance. Right now, it's literally just on the first level of resistance here. I'm a little bit more cautious than optimistic, but this little breach today, this morning, was there even a headline? I don't know. It's nice to see kind of come in and do this. That setup is exactly how this would squeeze to the upside to become the $500 stock that I think it can be. But this cannot go below 350 from here. 350 was the downside anyways. Should have waited for that. I didn't. I got impatient. So, you know, can't win them all. But from here to here, it was, I had a, what is that? I like 340, but 350 is literally the earnings candle. So at 350, you just can't, this cannot go from a technical perspective. Is it, if it loses this earnings move, right? So this earnings move is that candle right there, which we essentially just tested right there. If we're below that, like, no, it is 340 and it's, and then support is actually, you have this move and then you have that move, and then structure as a whole is broken. We're not there right now. Where we are is that we're in like a bit of a counter trend bounce in this area that's going to test essentially this last group of sellers, which is why I say, okay, it can continue on to 380. And I really want to see, at that point, I expect some consolidation. I would really want to see it extend. And if it cracks through 400, then yeah, we're out. But you know, what bad looks like is bad looks a little bit like this. And so here now, I don't really want to jump in just yet. I'll be long, stay long, and just kind of, what I call this is like, is it a lifeline? If I got long over here and then they threw me overboard, which they did, you know, at a certain point, sometimes the ship comes back and they throw you a lifeline. It's just up to you as a trader to reach out and grab the lifeline. We call this concept. I'm watching, is this a lifeline or not? I don't know. So no action on Google for me.
All right, let's get into the last basically 15 tickers. We'll go super rapid fire here and try to get these final thoughts out. If you guys are not following Jason, I'm not sure what you're doing, because you have to be following Jason on YouTube and X, as he gives a lot of alpha for free to everybody out there.
Appreciate it.
Let me link his YouTube right here. He also streams once every Monday. And obviously, if you want to get access to more of his stuff, his Discord link, I'll put that there as well. You can join and get deeper into his community.
So I'll just give a couple. So I don't think you want to sleep on some of these things. So I said not too long ago that Honeywell was at an investable level. There's a difference between tradable and investable. I'm just going to go out there and say this is an investable setup to me, especially with this last like little wick down here. Look into Honeywell. If you're not familiar with it, I think it's a big deal. This is a lot of data center building automation, things like that. Also, a lot more than just that. I think there's so many components of this. Their space arm, they're doing a spinoff in about 10 days, just like GE spun off GE Vernova. Honeywell will spin off actually a little bit inverse. Honeywell will split. It's going to be one for every 2 shares of Honeywell that you own. You will then receive 1 share of HONA, which is the Honeywell Aerospace division. What will be left at the core of Honeywell is that building automation and a lot more in there, but namely the building automation that's very data center focused. And then the greater of the sum of these parts, I think unlocks a potential never sell trade. So I'm very much here for a investment perspective. All right.
Redwire.
RDW. So Redwire is super interesting to me. The AE holdings or whatever, last I checked, is stop selling. But then all of a sudden they start doing this at the money offer. I'm like, what are they doing, guys? I'm about to call the CEO personally. Be like, bro, what? I'm like real close, you guys, to get in that guy on the line and say, do you not understand capital markets? Because if they weren't doing that shenanigans, this thing would be higher. But I like it here now. It kind of goes in the same thesis as the rest for me. It did not get through, but yeah, I'm not opposed to this right here, right now. I think literally this spot you would take a shot, and this being the last high right over here. If this comes in and locks a higher low, this trajectory is how that happens. So yeah, I like this as a speculative position. Next.
Red cap,
What? This is
RCAT,
yeah, same.
drones.
Same. So I don't know RCAT specifically. I do know a couple drone companies. What I would say is like I think they're on the mend. What I said about defense in general is maybe not necessarily known, but I think Q2 actually is the buy the dip moment. Just make sure you're buying a good company. It can go a little bit lower, but these are ones that you want to set up for Q3, Q4 runs into next year. I don't think they're done, but patience.
Reddit,
Super squeezy, lemon squeezy, but not, it's just more lemons than squeeze right now. You're at resistance right here, resistance holding one more time. So a little back and fill is fine. Ultimately, that would resolve into roughly the 230s at most. It's close to earnings. You just don't want to see this below 147. Sub 147, this recovery is off the table. Next.
Shopify.
Shop. Basing, not horrible. Don't hate it. All more speculative, right? So like, I think this goes on the shopping list. If you see it close to Shopify is like that ex-girlfriend that like always knows how to push your buttons. And like, for me, it's like, you think that you got it like dialed in and then it's like, ha, you didn't know shit. Sorry. And then it just like reverses on you. So you got to buy Shopify, just so you guys know, when it looks really bad. So for example, you have to buy Shopify only exclusively on the depths of despair right there. And you do that, you instantly have a winner. But if you wait till it's like, okay, I think it's looking good,
Right.
She's going to do you just like that, dirty every single time. Just guaranteed. That's how she rolls.
Galaxy.
Right. Another NeoCloud. At resistance here. Hold. You want to just buy, sell, hold? And just a quick blurb?
Yeah, you do that too.
All right. Hold at resistance here. Support is 27s.
App Lovin.
APP. Another definite hold. Major consolidation. Support first tier 466. Resistance 595. Just came off of that.
VG.
Hey.
Maybe this is the hedge play.
This is a late sell. And yeah, you buy at 990s. So wait for this to come in. It's a buy, but it's lower than this. This will be a buy.
Fastly.
Fastly is a buy.
By the way, Gavin Baker yesterday was talking really bullish about CDNs, and he said all of them are just going to get so much demand in the next
100%. Zero question to me. But this also, just so we know, why Fastly is up from $4 to $17 because of this. It's true. That's what's going to happen. So I think this becomes a buy. It's about whether or not the market can conceptualize how much that's worth. The earnings candle here is important to note. I think the high of that is 1774, which is slightly below where we are. If this cannot hold this moment, that's fine. Your next buy spot is in the 12s, like 13 to 12, but I think it's definitely a buy there. This is my spot where I wanted to buy it in the first place, though, and I did buy it, and I'm here. We got to see momentum. This is more consolidation right now. If it takes a big leg lower, let it go. Wait for it to come to you towards 12. That's fine. This is an extremely high beta stock.
Corning.
This is a hold. I think if you see sub 165, it's a buy. But for right now, it's a hold consolidation. Upside is to 225, possibly 250 still. The chat vibing with this buy sell hold. What was it?
Yeah, no, 100%. Rubric.
Buy. Rubric's a buy. like I didn't think it was going to be. I didn't know actually, but just from a TA perspective, right here, this is that prevailing downtrend. This one broke. What I'm looking for, as opposed to all these other breaks of downtrends here, break downtrend, all that kind of stuff. The difference right now, yes, this broke the downtrend. I need to see another higher low show up above the downtrend. This red line is that downtrend. You don't see that happening here. You don't see that happening here. This is the first time I've ever seen this happen right now. So how about it? Bye. Stop around 50, mid 50s.
Bloom
Energy?
Yep.
Bye. Support of 240s. It's probably a hold, quite frankly, because it's probably fully valued, but there are other cohorts in this. Generac buy in this area.
CRM.
Sell. New low.
You don't like it at all?
No, new low.
Why?
New low. We're supposed to be in the rapid fire.
What about buy the dip?
Yeah. Okay. but when the dip keeps dipping, what just happened? Here. So like sub 150. It's a no, dude.
Okay.
Iran. Hold. You're still there. It's chopping. Same spot between 53 to 60. I think this is remains resistance here. I think you just have a little patience. It's not at a discount level per se, but there's nothing wrong with the setup. It's still trying to set up, and it could do that. And that's still on it's on the same trajectory. The only thing, I think these neoclouds become an interest rate play at some point in the near future. Like they have to finance their debt. So maybe not even interest rates, like capital markets.
Uber.
Buy. Retest support over here. Uber. You just missed it by barely that much, however much that is, but it's coming out of support. That's what you want to see. You want to see this whole area as support. As it's coming up out of support, that means over 75, you're going to get a little bit better bounce.
Next decade.
Buy. You could go down to 650s, I think. Yeah. So next decade's slightly different. So with nat gas in general, here's the thing. The truth of this matter is, when it comes to the war and blah, 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 I don't, that's not part of the thesis it should not be part of your thesis if you're in nat gas. The truth about nat gas is that it powers 40% of the grid and 40% of data centers. It's the biggest chunk by far. So if you're bullish AI, specifically nat gas is what you'd want to be like in. Next decade, specifically though, is more of a pipeline thing. It's pre-money, pre-profit, whatever. But I think it has a little bit more upside. If you can find something that's more tied to the grid specifically, that's aligned to the data centers, that's ideal. I don't necessarily think that the nat gas is actually the incremental megawatt though, but it should be kind of core around your thesis. Next.
Big Bear AI.
Skip. They love it. I'm joking. Hold. It's a hold for sure. I think it's close to where you might want to take a shot. It's closer, but it's not a good looking chart, guys. This is broken down a long time ago. This broke down at 650. If you're bag holding, you're bag holding. Don't add until you have like a really good reason to. But there's no reason right now. You missed the sell, so you're at a hold at this point.
Circle. We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah. sell. It's just that's more of a fundamental thing. The charts at support, it's slightly below support. This is a rough one. This is crypto. It's not even crypto. I don't think the Clarity Act's going to help crypto at all. I think it's not how crypto works. I just don't think that's going to happen. But can this see 65? For sure. That's in fact where it's heading right now. Might even be tomorrow. And then maybe it's a buy.
We should probably do Bitcoin then. Totally forgot about that asset class.
Biddy.
How are you thinking of this?
I think I think you could be somewhat constructive. Like we still need to get over 70, right? Like we're slightly above the, oh, what the hell? What is happening? Why is it doing that? I think that we're over these prior lows here. So 65, 64 and change. Resistance is still 69, right? And I think my sentiment was that we could before be on our way to 70s, and that this is how like pressure builds. I mean, pressure built. It fired off the wrong way. And I think here now it's like, yeah, I don't know that we're actually, dude, this Memorial Day weekend or whatever it was. And I remember saying like, dude, I would have assumed that I would have hoped to see a lot more interest in crypto, and there was none. It's not a good look, quite frankly. I think 70 is more resistance. And if we can't get over 70, then the real lows of an 80% drawdown are in play, which is like
80% drawdown on Bitcoin.
Yeah. 80, maybe slightly softer, but that's like 35. Okay. 85 is, yeah, that's about 35, 20, 25, 30. It's basically this area over here.
Dude, that would just be so crazy.
It's so typical.
Yeah,
it's normal.
no, you're not wrong.
And then it goes sideways, by the way, for like 2 years. And then in 12 months time, it does that. Anyways.
Well, you have been right saying that Hood would diverge from Bitcoin, and
I'm so happy, dude. I'm so happy about that.
Like it really has been able to do that. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, last five.
Someone just said this. I want to look at this.
Fluence too. That's a good one.
Okay. Yeah. So Fluence is actually really high and tight, very constructive. I like this a lot. If this thing's over 26s, yeah. Buy. Okay. You said ARM. Yep. Fluence buy. ARM holds. Not a sell. Double top. You could trim it, but not a sell. Tomorrow probably going to be a big red day. Probably down to like 358s, 360s. I would not get discouraged. This can come even as low as 330 and fake you out like this. And that's exactly how that would work. So this is your last low over here. Anything in a drawdown is okay as long as it's over this area, which is a lot deeper than this. So it is a hold.
Sienna?
Buy. Whoa. Hold on. They messed up something. Something's wrong here. Sell? There's a crack in the this is a crack in the story. Hold on. There's a crack in the story. What this has got to be a Sienna specific thing. Blue Planet Autumn. It's so small. It's not that small. You got to research this. There's something. This should be a screaming buy. Something's wrong with the chart. Either it's way overvalued and just needs to consolidate, which would be about a $300 buy. But this thesis is not going away. Next.
Oh, they diluted?
There you go.
That might be it. CEG.
Hold to buy.
Ever since that Meta deal, they haven't really announced a big one.
Microsoft. Well, the thing is that it's the Microsoft deal, which was all of this, I think, all of this Microsoft deal. And then right over here, what happened was that the Microsoft deal was supposed to light up, I think, whatever 3 Mile Island in 2027 is what they had it slotted for, but they couldn't get the grid connectivity to the data center. Their vendors weren't ready, so they had to push the timeline out to like 2030. And on that news, this is what happens. The play is still there, so I think this holds the floor, but I think you have to be patient. I like this, absolutely. I think this is where you want to be in general, but I don't know if it's nuclear. I think that's very forward looking, maybe a little bit early. This is the largest nuclear in the US. I think Talon is where you want to be if you want to do that kind of stuff. Chart says so. I think that Eaton is the forever never sell bucket here in that general cohort. ETR also, Entergy, amazing. ENS all day long if you want like what's the next potential incremental megawatt. Maybe even like Cummins. There you go. I'm just going off the look at. I'm shooting from the hip, man, and I'm coming up with some beautiful charts for you guys. There are many options out there.
Planet Labs.
PL. Take a shot. Have at it. Bye.
Space data centers.
No, space imaging, satellite. I think this. Look, so Planet Labs is back into support right now from a $50 ripper. Like you're cut in half. Not that matters. I think here now it starts to slow to the downside, and you essentially want to see a recovery begin like this. So yes, buy. This, just so you know, like so people know, like this is the space economy. It's different than like SpaceX. Like I think that, you know, the more launches and the more satellites that are out there from like a 10-year time. I posted something about this. From like a 10-year time horizon perspective, like, dude, okay, yes, SpaceX will be beneficial for things like this, but they are down here in like orbit economy beneficiaries. This is a post you can, if you don't follow me, like Amit said, I don't know what you're doing. It's a 10-year time horizon though. So if you're going to be something like this, you need to be looking at that kind of stuff. And also maybe this is why Google started to move. I don't know, but there you have it.
All right, last one I'll give to you. What ticker are you looking at that you think is interesting?
Oh, you dirty dog. You dirty dog. I actually signed off. Now the pressure's on, isn't it?
Give us a ticker, bro. Give us a preview of your draft. What are you gonna be?
I mean, you know my draft. I like Boeing. Like, but no. So like, Boeing's not gonna be in the draft. Well, here, everybody. What do people think that I'm gonna do?
Dude, everyone's expecting you to win. By the way, literally everyone's like, "Yeah, Jason's definitely gonna win this."
No, they're not. Like,
yeah, everyone expects you to win this thing.
Nobody in their right mind.
In my chat in the morning, they're like, "Jason's definitely gonna win."
Nobody in their right mind.
I'm not even saying this to put pressure on you. I'm legit telling you the truth. Everyone,
you are saying this to put pressure.
No. Go to my chat in the morning. Go watch the replay. When I talked about it, everyone's like, Jason's definitely gonna whoop your ass.
I mean, I'm probably gonna pick a mix of like nuanced names that some people don't know, that most people don't know. I'm probably not gonna be as like cookie cutter as they think. And I'm probably gonna have
Jason's still doing we're still doing the Russell 1000. So we're not going outside of that.
Yeah.
But there's still 1,000 companies.
It's 1,000 companies. Like I have a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
Like a lot, right? But like, I think, well, a lot of you guys are going to pick CoreWeave.
I think that's Tanner's first pick. I think
someone had Roblox. That's a buy, by the way. That's just clearly, look at that chart. That is what you want to see from a weekly perspective. This is a dead cat bounce definitively into earnings that should get you to 60s. That's hot. That's a hot bounce. I saw that somebody put that on there. Does it go to 200? No. Yeah, I will pick Talon. Nobody knows Talon. I will pick that. You're having me scan right now. What if I just picked Grinder? Is that in that Russell 2000?
It might outperform, bro. It might.
Yeah, we could. Here's what I think strategy wise. I looked at what you guys were doing, and I'm like, dude, if you didn't have Duolingo, if Tanner didn't have Trade Desk, like you guys would be crushing it. So I'm like, honestly, it's probably not going to be what people think, but at the end of the day, I think whoever wins it is the person that is able to avoid the epic losers of like down 70% and has a handful of like multi-baggers, which, you may not think that we can get.
Steve's thesis is that the idea of getting a stock that 4 or 5Xs, it was easier last year. This year, it's going to be harder because everything's already up so much.
I disagree. I think the first part is going to look harder. Like the first few months, I mean, I wish that we would have done it the other week when it was just bloody red on Friday.
Me too. I'm kind of hoping we crash by Friday and we can have some good.
He's so like, so I think power is everything. And I think understanding like where the incremental unit of power is going to come from, no matter what happens in the market, is how I'm going to anchor in general. Like, to me, those type of companies in the worst of the worst scenarios, while they might be overvalued now, I honestly think that they could very easily become safety stocks and get even higher. But oops, BW. It's probably not like this monolithic power kind of stuff. Synaptics. If I could pick, it would be in Synaptics area. I think the next trades you look at are still some of these IoT things that if these can hold their relative lows, I think you're good. I have some sleepers that you're not going to pick it, right?
I mean, depends.
You're going to steal it.
Depends. Tell me what you got.
Synex, which nobody knows what this is. I don't think this is anywhere close to done. There's a group of these stocks that make up what we call the channel. So coming from enterprise sales, the channel, I highly doubt that anybody in this chat knows what this company is or what they do. There's another one, Ingram Micro. This somewhat similar, Aero Electronics, also the distributors. So when you think of supply chain and you think of like when I used to sell Dell or Rubrik or some software, I had to source it somewhere. I bought it from these companies. Traditionally, these companies are these companies don't make historically a lot of money because they're very small margin, like single digit margin, but high volume. There's a shift happening in this industry as a whole. So you can pick one of them, but you can't steal it because I always have backups, my dude. Do what you want. But like when you listen to other companies report, again, these companies are shifting so that they become more of the value-added reseller in addition to the distribution centers. So every piece of Dell, every piece of HP, all go through these three companies that make up what we call the channel: Synex, Tech Data, right? Aero Electronics, or Ingram Micro. each one of those three have a small difference, different nuance between them, which I don't really want to get into because that might be a little saucy. But I know I had a fracking infographic, which, you know, I'm trying to pull. That kind of was like quick.
Is this in the Russell 1000?
Oh yeah, they all are.
Okay. Ouster is an interesting one as well if the robotics tailwind takes off next year as well.
Yeah, so I think like Synaptics would be in there.
Yeah.
Boom. So the channel. Oops. Screenshot, whatever you want to do. There you have it. Synex versus Arrow versus Ingram. They actually all have, they're all growing like mad, right? Massive, right? But in different areas. So you just kind of want to know like who's doing what. And each one of these has a different kind of angle for what makes them special. But yeah, we do this stuff in the server too. I think this is, yeah, they're a little hot. Yeah, it's probably a little chasey, but I don't think anybody really knows about these companies.
Some of them have gone up a lot this year. I'm looking at yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not small caps either.
No. Oh, Amcor, I would probably choose. Remember I said there's going to be 100? I think today, like if I'm going to look at this, if Amcor comes in at 80, I think it's another buy. Also, I think this has a lot of runway. OUST, I don't know this one. Is this in the Russell 1000?
I don't think so. I think it's too small.
Yeah, it's not going to make our cut. LiDAR sensors. Okay, so this is the edge, right? So LiDAR. This to me is my Rivian pick. That's Rivian to me. For many other situations. But yeah, I'll have a bunch of stuff that I can kind of go through depending on who picks what. I'll take different angles. I might have an ADD moment. Who knows? Our chart does not look bad though. No, I'm not charging Oklo. I'm going to stay away generally from nuclear. I think it's too far out. I'm he reformatted this last time so that you have, did you find out if we could steal? Is there a steal or what is there?
I don't think there's a steal. I have to check with Steve. I don't think there's
you didn't call him?
No, I didn't call him because it was like
we should call him. I think
that's
there's a steal, but if there's not a steal, I know that there's a trash can, like where you can trash something.
You can get rid of 2 picks every.
Yeah, and I think that makes it a totally different dynamic, quite frankly.
You still have to take, like, if you pick a stock and it goes down 20%, you can get rid of it in 90 days, but you still have to hold on to that 20%. So, but it lets you stop it from going to like 50%, right? So I would have gotten rid of Duolingo, I think.
Exactly. Or you would have flipped. I think you would have flipped short. You could have. Maybe the old emit probably would not have, but the new emit definitely would have flipped short on Duolingo. Tanner probably would not have flipped short on Trade Desk. But you just look at that. Like if Tanner didn't have Trade Desk, dude, he'd be right up there with everybody else. He had Trade Desk, ServiceNow, and Coinbase. Those 3 got him. Yeah.
Duolingo got me.
But it was Trade Desk the most, right?
Yeah.
He had ServiceNow, which is down like 50%. It's not even that bad.
Dude,
Matt.
Snapchat. $2,000. Who the hell do they think they are?
The glasses?
$2,000 glasses, bro. $21.95 actually. Who the hell is paying that?
I don't know. Are you gonna let me get my picks? That's all I want to know. Or are you gonna steal my stuff?
Dude, I can't even steal your stuff. I like based on the order of it, you'll have plenty of time to get your picks.
which one would I just want to know which one do I have to take first so that you don't steal it?
I mean, I already said I'm picking NVIDIA first, so
Yeah, I don't want NVIDIA.
if I pick NVIDIA and it's a dud for a year, it's gonna be so. But I can't imagine at these levels. Like if it was at 240, I could.
No, yeah, but you're talking about a different thing. Like NVIDIA is perfectly fine as a company to own, right? But like you have 10.
No, I'm not talking about own. I'm talking about the price. I think the stock is gonna go up.
No, it'll go up, but not anything compared to what's on the board.
But if you think NVIDIA, I would say we both think NVIDIA fair value around 270. It's at 210. That's a hell of a move. It's
not a hell of a move when you look at what's available on the board.
If you think you're going to find a 3 or 4 bagger on every
I'm
pick,
telling you, we're about to, we may, this eating season all year long, I've said that whatever happens this eating season, I'm going hard, right? So I don't even think it matters.
No, but eating season is October. We're picking in June. So the prices you're going to get in October are not where we're starting with in June.
Yeah, correct. But by the time June comes around next year, it's not even going to matter. Everything's going to be higher, dude. Unless it's just a bad company. And I guess from that perspective, you just need to not buy a bad company.
I hear your point, but things are different from everything has run a lot. Like even Amcor, I think it's a great buy, but is it going to be 200 at this time next year?
Yeah.
See, I don't know. I don't know if I think that.
It's not even expensive, dude.
No, I'm not saying it's expensive. I just don't know if it has Micron. Is that going to be 2,500 this time next year? Because isn't Micron
possibly?
What if it's not though? What if that just kind of chills out
between now and then? It might actually go to 300. But then by then, that's what I'm saying. It's possible. So it's do I want to? I can't. I don't. It's too.
Okay. So for example, Rocket Lab. Are you taking that?
Let's do Rivian for example. So Rivian, for example, I'm positive nobody's going to pick Rivian. I will probably pick Rivian.
But Rivian's been dead.
So that's kind of my point. Is if you look across the board, as long as the downside is somewhat protected, I have multiple catalysts between now and June of next year. Between here and there, I think it could be a really rocky ride, for a while. But the R2 comes out in a matter of days. I think it'll get a pump into that. I think there will be some issues from a production perspective. I think that pump will get faded aggressively because the whole thesis will come into question. But then by the time June comes around, we're going to be talking about R3 launches, and R2 will have stabilized by then, and we're going to have some real traction. So and at that point, I don't think people are going to be thinking that it's not going to be a success story. But that would be the bet.
I just don't know if all the names that have made a massive move make another, AMD, that's at 600. Next year is going to be 1,200 this time. I'm not saying NVIDIA is going to be, 500.
No, but I could see Intel being 200.
That I agree with you. I think that theoretically. But if that happens, AMD is going to be way higher too, right? There's no way they're letting it.
Yeah, or dude, what about Global Foundries?
That's a good one. I could see that one running too.
Easily, right? Which, by the way, is already doubled in the matter of months. But
that's what scares me. That if it's already made such a big move, does it just?
Yeah, Rackspace is not in the Russell 1000, guys. Sorry, it's not. And
would you pick it if you could?
Maybe. Fastly's not in the Russell 1000 either, right?
Oh, so we can't pick. That was actually on my list potentially.
Well, check the list. I don't think it is. So do we fight over Akamai? I don't know. Something like that.
I think Steve had a good point. All of us that got saved was because we all had a 3 to 4x, even Chris with MRVL, on our sheets. And we all have to, if we don't crush every pick with at least, 20 to 30%, have to find 1 or 2 of those 3 to 4x's, which given everything's run so much, I had Nebius at 50. Is Nebius going to go to 600 if I pick it at 270?
Well, I think it's that same framing though. You had Nebius at 50. What was the floor? 30?
Probably. Yep.
Yeah. And so I think from that perspective, I'm probably not going to pick a Micron, SanDisk, Western Digital, Seagate, or any of those. Probably not, because the floor is too. I'm likely gonna be real money. Fuck. Sorry.
You can say it, bro. It's okay.
Really?
Yeah,
I always get pinged like my kids. You know, the one thing is like I just talked about Honeywell and how like bullish I am on it. I don't know that I'm going to pick it, but like I think it's a investable spot. What we don't know is like I just told you Honeywell is going to split on the 28th. I think it is 28th or 29th, 25th. That's after the draft. I need to know how that's going to get handled. Like if we don't get the split stock, like what's going to happen? I got all these questions that Steve has not answered for me. I want to know if I can steal. I want to know what the trades are. I still have to figure out the strategy here. And I'm probably I still think I'm going to save the ones I really want for later. Like my sleepers, just because I don't think.
Who's picking Hoodie is the other question.
I like Hoodie. I just don't know. Like I like Hoodie a lot. I think it depends on whether or not I get some of the picks that I want to pick. And I think we all are probably going to come at this from a portfolio construction perspective too, meaning like we need to be somewhat balanced and not like all in on one thing, which may or may not help at the end of the day. But yeah, I don't know. Are you going to pick Coca-Cola? Because that's at all-time highs, right?
That is at all-time highs.
It is at all-time highs.
Dude, Elon increases net worth by more than Warren Buffett made in his entire career today. Like, it's kind of crazy.
Dude.
He added Jensen's net worth to his net worth today as well.
That's sick. Yes, I meant one, you guys. He is the champion. He holds the crown. Is official. All because
Matt would have won though if the SpaceX thing didn't screw ASTS and Rocket Lab. Like he would have ran away with it. It's just crazy what happens at the last minute. Anything,
yeah.
He was winning for the majority of the year, to be honest.
No, yeah. So I think it's the same thing, right? That's why it's like I will take Rivian, and nobody. I can confidently say I'll pick Rivian now, and nobody's gonna pick Rivian because I don't think anybody likes it.
No.
And Chris could probably confidently say he's going to pick Carnival Cruise Lines and nobody else is going to challenge him.
He's going to pick ServiceNow first pick. 100% Chris is going to take ServiceNow first pick.
So what about this? What if somebody picks a stock long, can another person pick it separately short?
I think so.
Like,
I think you should be able to.
Like if you go CRM long and I go CRM short.
I think that should be more than allowed. Yeah, that should. Let me ask Steve, but I'm pretty sure that's fine. It's because it's still the opposite. It's a different pick.
It's like the flippening though. Like if you're short, let's say you're short CRM into the event and then the quarterly rebalances come November, October, can you then flip your short to a long or vice versa within your portfolio? That would be a bigger question. Yeah. The flippening. I don't know. They want to flip flop. That's where I probably won't. I don't think I'll be doing that. Are you going to do Nebius again? Nebius.
Dude, at 270, as you said, the floor. But then again, I think it'll be fine. But I'm like, is it 500 next year? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we thought Hoodie would be okay.
We thought Hoodie, dude, Hood saved my ass. Literally,
Hood was okay actually. By the way,
I was up 100% until for the majority of this year I was down on it, and then finally yesterday with that spike to 100 to 99, like it gave me a 30% boost. But literally on the last day, it worked out. Otherwise it would have been dead.
Like if you had a bunch of Hood and Palantirs, so Palantir was down 5.7%, Hood was down at most like 5-10%, like the whole year long. And if those were your worst drawdowns, 5-10%, and you had like, if let's say you had 2 down 5-10% and then 8 up 25%, I still think that person would have won, wouldn't they? Because of it's a cumulative.
Yeah, and they're all equal weighted. That's fair.
Oh, are we gonna do?
It's all equal weight. Yeah. It makes it too complicated to give a different weight to each one.
Can we do weighted returns, equal weighted returns? No, is that the same thing? Probably the same thing.
Yeah. So it's out of all 12, all of them are worth 100 divided by 12, 8.3%, whatever it is. But it makes each pick like really matter. You know?
I was contemplating going like taking one of Chris's picks that are down right now, and I'm like, nah, I think I changed my mind on that. I'm not sure though. Like, we'll see. There, so like defense names, perfect example. Those I don't are closer to the floor right now than anything.
Yeah.
But there's some names like, dude, look up ticker GD, General Dynamics, defense name. She's nowhere close to the floor. But so there's some that you look at this, you're like, what makes this stock different than all the rest? There's something across the board. There's always something like this where like General Dynamics is the standout, like big defense name. This is a $98 billion company. I'm not sharing my screen, I know. But like, then you look at like a Lockheed Martin and then you look like, I don't know, some other ones. And then you're like, Raytheon is like doing what?
All right, folks, that is it for us. The draft will be on Saturday night. We'll all be here live and we'll go through it. Should be a fun time. And market close on Friday. Honestly, we should do the draft on Friday because the markets are closed.
Juneteenth, baby.
Let me ask Steve, but if not, it'll be Saturday night. And
here goes Amit trying to change the rules again.
Oh, but Friday, because it'll give something for people to listen to. But if it might not be easy for everyone to make it Friday.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thank you, everybody. Jason's Twitter. Please make sure to follow him. We'll be back market open and FOMC tomorrow, so it'll be a big one.
Yes, and then Jason's christening to the circle of what's it called? To the circle on the stock draft. It's my christening day. I'm trying to be accepted here.
We should come up with a group name for it because we don't have one, to be honest. But all right, there you go.
Cool.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it, brother. Thanks, everybody. We will see you guys tomorrow morning. Bye, everybody.